Is it damn internet?
No, you're gonna get like Verizon or something. All right. All set whenever you are.
Meeting called to order. Today is Tuesday, July 25th. It's now 6:04 PM. Monday. Oh, I'm sorry, Monday, July 25th. I'm not used to Mondays. Special Town Council meeting, 1170 Main Street, West Warwick, Rhode Island.
Councilman Licciardi,
Here.
Councilman Messier,
He's on his way.
Councilman Bourget,
Here.
Council Vice President Williamson,
Here.
Council President Goslin.
Here.
Quorum is declared. New business, consideration of recommendations for charter amendments proposed by the Charter Review Committee and staff.
Nothing to move.
Yeah, it's really nothing. 03 is the approval, so
Correct.
that'd be the movement. So Al, you can start since you were working on this.
I've got two areas, and primarily because of, they both involve my work with the town. The first is, as it relates to those two sections for the party limitations for planning and zoning there, section 1604 and 1606. Going back in the history of the town, when we had a strong two-party system, maybe a one-party system back in the 40s and 50s, the town committees were the governing bodies. As I told you the night last time, when I applied to be assistant solicitor in charge of prosecution, I didn't come to the council. I met with every one of the Democratic town committeemen. If they said yes, I was a solicitor. If they said no, the town council had no say. That day's gone. And also in those days, there were no independents. So the charter refers to limitation of 3 people from a political party. That, what do we do with the independents today? They're not a political party. And you know, that structure that was there when this was created was done to protect the minority party that existed in those days that doesn't exist today. More importantly, my concern is with the effect that those provisions has. I would bet that not one of you, when you were making an appointment to any board in this town, ever thought of what party is that person from. The first thing you thought of is that person qualified? Maybe after you thought of, is that person qualified, you then thought of what party, only because you had these rules for the zoning and planning, as you did a week or so, I believe. I forgot what board it was, that you had said, well, is that person, do we have it as a political party? What are you going to do when you've got the most qualified person? The planning board right now, we have 3 Democrats. If we get a vacancy and the most qualified person we've ever had for the planning board comes in and wants to go on the planning board, you can't put that person on. We got 3 Democrats if that person's a Democrat. And in addition, you know, 18 years here with planning and zoning, probably 10 in East Greenwich with a legal counsel to planning on the zoning board. I can honestly say, I don't remember one decision of the planning board or the zoning board that was ever made based on a political party basis. Back when it was, as I say, back in my day, when it was a party structure. The town was created in 1913. From then till 1946, no Republican was ever elected. 1946, the Republicans come in. My father happened to get elected. The police department went home. The night of election, the police department went home. The state police came in to patrol the town until a Republican council was sworn in. The Republican council was sworn in, and a new police department was appointed. For 2 years in a row, every year, the Republican legislative members introduced a bill to make the police department permanent. My father was the Democrat. Harry Kervin was his buddy. The bill died. 1948, the town came back to being Democrats. My father introduced a bill to make the police department permanent. The Republicans went home and the Democrats came back. That's why that kind of stuff was put in. Those days are gone. So my real concern is, as I said, in the case right now that exists with the planning board, if we lose a member and you've got the best member you can have, who happens to be a Democrat, you can't put that person on the board. So I would like to see, that no more than 3. I would like to see the politics taken out of appointment to the planning board and the zoning board. They're the only boards that I think that we have that on. And there's no place for it. I mean, that's how I see it because, that's my job here. So those are my feelings. The only other area that I have.
Can we discuss that one before, if
Sure.
we're moving on, can we just
Yeah.
finish this one before?
Please?
Yeah, are you moving to a different one or are you
Yeah,
staying with
no,
this?
no.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. I wish I could believe, like you believe, that those days are long gone, but I don't. I agree that it's been better over the last, I don't know, we'll even say 10 years, but I don't see that it's gone. I see people on both sides within this town that it's party and party only, and that's the mentality. And those days can come back. And that would be a fear of mine, is that those days do come back. And then it's like, we don't even have to worry about party. You come sit before the R or the D party, whichever one it might be. And that's how you get your position. We're going to cut the council all together. We're going to do it. And I would much rather see that balance stay there. It's not hurting anybody.
Well, I would disagree with you there right now in the planning board. If you have a vacancy in that planning board and you've got the most qualified person you've ever had that wants to be on that planning board, it's a Democrat, you can't appoint that person.
Unless that vacancy happens to be a Democrat that leaves.
So Al, let me ask you a
Yeah,
question.
but there's 4 others, chances of being one of the others instead of one of them.
So like the zoning board and the planning board, mostly zoning board is actually one of the boards that has to be no more than 3.
Both of them.
One.
Both of them do.
So
Both of them.
both. Now, if we change this, what effect does that have on Board of Canvassers?
Board of Canvassers is set by the state.
Okay, I want to just verify that because,
Yeah,
that's the part I would agree with Mark on. The Board of Canvassers could be
Yeah.
very political,
yeah, no.
right? As far as zoning and planning, and I understand what you're saying because myself, if the person's qualified, and I'll use JP Millet as an example. I think he does a great job. I said I'd support JP. He's a Republican. I don't care either way, Republican, Democrat, if the person is qualified, but the next person up here might not think the same way.
I agree with Mark 100% in the Board of Canvassers. That is a political operation. There's no question about it. And I say this, Mark, maybe coming from the background that I came from of the fierce politics of that day that I don't see today. I see it totally different. I mean, look at the composition of the council. 2, 2, and 1. That, forget it. When I was active, that didn't happen. That just didn't happen.
But I do see politics in planning and zoning. I do ways it can and probably has reared its ugly head, depending on, all right, John Doe wants to put in a building or a plat or a business or whatever it might be. Right now, there's not politics that's going to be involved with it because they have that 3-2 and it's like they're forced to communicate back and forth. Now, let's say we do fall into party, whatever, becomes over dominant again. Oh, you want to put something there? you gotta come to us and not to them. You know,
Well-
and I just would
Yeah.
rather, my personal opinion is I'd rather leave the balance and take that chance that one day that one person might come, that happens to be affiliated with a party, but they can't get it because it's already full of that party.
I have to say, you're more pessimistic on that subject.
I am very
I am.
pessimistic on that
And
subject.
secondly, I would tell you, I can think that if you polled either board today and you asked those board members who were Republicans and who were Democrats, none of them would know.
Okay, but you go back 20 years and everybody would know.
Oh,
And
yes.
we don't know what 20 years in the future is going to be like. So if we get rid of this now, the chance of putting it back in, if one party, and again, either party takes control, the chance of getting it back in there is going to be a lot harder than if we just leave it and then just move along.
Like you're appearing before the boards, we respectfully agree to disagree.
Exactly.
So my primary concern, I guess, is that on the zoning board, the wording, if I recall, says that no more than 3 of the members of said board shall be of any one time be members of the same political party and one of the 2 major political parties. So it doesn't actually refer to independents. So
No,
so what happens there?
I don't know. They talked about the 2 major parties.
The zoning one,
Yeah.
the planning one does not. The planning one talks about the same political party.
Yeah, well,
Doesn't say major.
You know,
This says
same
2
political.
major parties. That's a concern.
I agree with you, but I think the intent was the same. There were only 2 parties. Independents in those days didn't exist for, you know.
But you can pigeonhole independence into the planning board, but the zoning board, it says the 2 major parties. I mean, so that I get it's a technical issue that probably has to be addressed no matter what.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So could you have 5, over the course of a 5-year period, 5 independents be appointed to either planning or zoning?
Yes.
But there's no independence if they're not a major,
Not
if they're not a
planning.
political
Planning says
party.
They're not a
On a-
political party.
There is
Oh.
no independent body.
Right.
There
Right.
is no party.
They're
well, then I would,
So
Then-
could you put 5 Us on a board without having a Democrat or a Republican?
Yeah, it says you can't have 3 of a party.
you're saying that's not a party.
That's not a
I would,
party.
that, not a recognized party. I would
Recognized.
think we would have to amend that language too then
I mean,
to
so
at least.
But think about it.
We're going to say that any person who is unaffiliated is an automatic independent party voter.
But they're all part of the same thought process, all part of the, maybe, but again,
You don't have the authority to classify or categorize an unaffiliated.
Vin,
person.
I want to stop you for a second. I just need you to come up to the microphone.
oh, yeah.
This is more of a workshop, and I have no problem letting whoever's here speak on it. But just so people can hear too.
Rather than get too much into the weeds on this,
Right.
my only suggestion would be that this issue, if it's really going to be seriously considered, you need to have the town Democratic chairman and the town Republican chairman here to weigh in on this issue.
I
Well-
can tell you where the town Democratic chair.
Well,
is
but all
coming from.
fairness,
He told me he wasn't happy, and I don't know whether there is a town.
There is.
Republican.
Yes,
Well, but-
yes.
I mean, record Councilman Messier just entered.
You know, and to get back to that, Al, I respect you 100%. And I think I experienced this firsthand, and I can't really go into it because I'm bound by ethics, but I've been to planning board meetings. And I don't believe that, I believe that party affiliation is part of decision-making. At least what I've experienced and what I've witnessed. So,
But it's a
So,
workshop,
I
and I
don't-
just
don't
threw
know what
out
you
my,
want.
my feelings.
no, I'm just,
I don't know.
I'm just
where you- I
throwing-
don't know where you're affiliated, to be honest with you. I should.
I'm unaffiliated.
So how do you
So we
say
have
that?
2 U's, 2 D's and an R.
So how can you say it was party driven then?
No, on the zoning or planning,
On-
Yeah, but you're saying towards you? I guess I don't.
I'm
know. Maybe I
saying
don't
in
know
a,
what-
in a decision that I've witnessed,
Oh.
that
not-
I don't agree with it. I believe it was party driven. I believe party politics came into play,
Okay, all right.
and I don't think that's right.
let me ask you this, because, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but if they're already broken up as no more than three, is there the three that voted or four that voted or five that voted? Were all five unanimous? Because if all five voted for it, then I can't
I'd
agree
have
with
to
that.
say watch a meeting. I really, I don't know what I can say, but
All right.
that's just my take on it. So, and while we're talking about the charter, every time we've come up with issues have come up regarding whether it's pension or planning or zoning, a vote that is made. And then that resolution has come to the council by somebody. We're told by Tim that we don't have any jurisdiction over that board. So if something is blatantly wrong, and again, I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but blatantly wrong, and it comes to us and we disagree with that decision, whether it's 5-0, 4-1, 3-2, it doesn't matter. Can this charter put us in a position where we could bring that decision to light and discuss it?
No, that's the Ethics Commission.
Okay,
So let me
Discuss it.
let me understand this straight.
You can't overturn it. You can
Yeah, but-
discuss it.
Hold on, Vin. If what you're saying is you like to keep the party lines in there, and what you're saying is you don't want to keep. The
No, he
party
does
lines.
want them. I thought.
I'm a little confused with
I-
with your comments, because you're saying party interferes, so.
I do. I think it does.
But
I think it could.
So that's what I'm trying to get a feel for here, right? Is, do you feel that there should be more than three, or are you saying we should allow more than three on one party? Or are you saying you like to keep it the way it is?
I like to keep it the way it is.
Oh, okay, that's.
Yeah.
All right, and you want to keep it the way.
I want to keep it the way it is. Again, I wish I wasn't as pessimistic, but life experience has told me differently. And, you know, I would much rather stay the way it is. So we have that catch safe there already, rather than trying to put something.
You know,
in
I
later.
just felt that with the job I do for the town, my feeling on it, I had the obligation to bring it to you for your decision.
And Al, I really do wish we can get rid of the parties altogether, but it's not gonna happen. And the mentality of the parties on both sides has extremists. And if they can get enough control, it just is bad on both sides.
Jack?
Yeah, I agree, because even if somebody doesn't think there's an issue now, it doesn't mean in 5 years, all of a sudden, one party or the other ends up getting the majority and then you have an issue. But I agree with you. I wish there was no parties at all, but unfortunately there is, and you never know what could happen. So I have to agree with.
I just felt I had an obligation. to bring
And I
it to you.
think, and I appreciate you going through and looking at it. I think it does raise some concerns. One of my concerns, though, is we have a difficult time filling the positions, period. Never mind along party lines. So that concerns me. And if we can't get the business of the town done because we don't have a quorum in place, then that's a concern. But
Sorry, you had a.
I just wanted to respectfully remind council that it is not you basically deciding on this. This is
it
just.
would be the voters, right?
But ultimately, the voters would have to say whether they wanted it or not. If you
Thank you,
decided to give
thank
them the
you,
opportunity. I
thank
just
you.
wanted to remind you guys. that
Thank you very
it's not
much.
all on your shoulders.
The other area that I just want to bring is one more of practicality, and I stapled the section to section 2203, and that's the provision that requires a recodification of all of the ordinances every 5 years. And this is one more practicality. The last time we did a recodification, it had been about 30 years. Since Sarah's been here, we have a new process that she's instituted where you pass ordinances for a year, and at the end of the year, Sarah sends them off to Muni Court, and our code is updated. I forgot how much money it cost last year or to do that. I know how much time it spent me, and I think to say every 5 years, you're gonna go through that mess is unreasonable. I would say 10 years at a minimum. And my personal feeling, and I don't want to say this sounding like an egotist, but I personally would say that the recodification should be left up to the people working with it my case, since I've been do the ordinances myself, Sarah, we work with it on a day-to-day basis. And when the last revision came about, it was because on a number of occasions, Tim and I had looked at the ordinances and said that just, the statutes have changed and our ordinance is outdated. That's how the last one came about. And I just think that to put the financial burden on the town every 5 years, when Sarah's put in a system that's keeping it up to date, sure, there's going to be some statutes that don't, or court decisions that get missed. But in general, our ordinances from now on will be in better shape than they have been, at least since 2004. And that's just, you know,
On
one
the
that,
ballot for these, it's just a general question, is it the full text of whatever the ordinance change is when it shows up there?
I pass that on to Tim.
No, in general, like. when-
I think so. Tara, does, no?
For any, for any,
It's
for
the
any
old
of
one,
them, yeah,
put
for any
replace
of
it
them.
with-
I just didn't know how specific it was when voters were showing up, like, or if it was like, obviously, when they vote on the budget, it just says approve, deny, and they kind of have to do their research. I just didn't know how much was there for when they voted no.
Refer to
They usually will show the original ordinance and then the amended ordinance.
Okay.
So you can read both.
It doesn't normally have like a synopsis and then has the full thing also, correct?
I thought so, yes, yeah,
So yeah, there's a synopsis and a whole thing.
because nobody's going to stand there and read the whole thing. That's right.
No, but at least it's there for somebody that wants to.
Correct.
Does it
Yeah.
show the change?
Usually
It has
the
a line
the
through it, like
highlight,
kinda like
it'll be
this.
highlighted or
think
tap
so.
or underlined.
Okay.
Printed booklet goes out.
And usually
No,
it's,
I know, and for
usually
the
a
people that look at that,
sample
but
ballot.
there's gonna be people that show up that day
It's
and they know
standing
one thing, it's governor, and they don't know anything else.
yeah, usually a sample ballot is also created previous to the election. So you can share that online.
And I think Ben's right. I think there's something that goes out, yeah.
There's been lengthy, wordsmithing rather than try to have these individual phrases and stuff. There's been a detailed piece nailed out. And it's also at the polling places and it's summarized, or the authority
Mhm.
for the technical amendments are really the question.
Thank you for giving me your time.
Actually, Al, you have two other ones in here.
Yeah,
Uh,
those I just,
He didn't.
when I was energetic, I did them, but the two I brought up tonight are the only two that I have strong. You can look at the others and they were just more comments that I made for
Okay.
your consideration.
Because I really don't understand the 916 one.
We've never followed it.
Yeah.
Technically, that can happen. Everyone can be fired and you have to reapply for your job. It happened in Warwick, I believe,
All right.
when the mayor
Yeah,
came
that's
in.
what-
The proposed change. I don't understand what the change is.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. I don't understand that either. I mean,
Well,
the-
well, my
having
thought.
that in our charter is confusing enough.
My
but the
thought,
proposed change
my
was-
thought on that one was that, as I read it, it says that when Mark leaves, anybody he's hired has to go with him. And I just thought that was,
But what's the difference between terminate and cease?
Doesn't change it.
It says terminate versus cease is the wording. I mean, so
no,
town manager sells,
that's their change.
yeah.
I didn't make that change.
Oh,
That's,
see, I
that-
thought you
no,
made
no.
that change.
No, I
You're-
didn't
you're in
make
red.
that change.
No,
The,
that's Charter Commission.
the charter commission
Suggestion.
changed it from that to cease.
Okay.
And my comment is that I just don't think that when the town manager goes,
Right now,
every-
if they get terminated when you leave, or any town manager leaves.
But
Yeah,
it says.
we've never followed that.
At the council's discretion.
Been through 10 of them. I haven't seen one person go with. them.
Right, yeah, so, okay.
Or her.
Okay. All
Well, it's bad enough you lose one person, you lose everybody at once, I mean.
I mean,
It's an automatic walkout.
I do agree with you on the 2203. You're saying 10 years?
I would say a minimum of 10. I mean, I wouldn't
Is-
go,
Or how about as needed? I mean, why not provide as
I
much
would-
flexibility as
that's
you
what I
can?
would,
I don't
I
know.
would say as needed.
Because with our technology today, like you said, if you guys are
Should be.
just passing
Yeah.
down the updates every year, then technically we never need to look at it again. So the as needed is probably the
I would-
perfect language just to cover the few things that get missed here or there.
Right.
Because basically what's happening is Sarah and I are reviewing on a constant. Today, we had a situation, regarding the recording of documents. So it's something that's going on a constant basis that we discussed it with Chief Ferone, his aspect on it. So I like what Mary Beth suggests as needed. I know the expense that we went through and I don't see it as being a valid one.
And I can't imagine that we'd ever have that magnitude of expense because the changes, and by the way, you billed us very little for all that work that you did, and I do remember that,
Thank
so. But we won't have 30 years worth of changes ever again, so,
Right.
right.
We hope.
I mean,
30 years from now,
and
yeah.
Mary Beth, that work was without touching the zoning code.
Right, right.
That was everything except the zoning code. Thank you.
Thank you, Al.
Thanks, Al.
Vin?
Just an observation on that conversation. If you're going to reopen that issue about purging political party affiliation on any boards, then it really opens up the door to the question as to whether you're going to remove party affiliation for running for public office in the town and have the elections as nonpartisan elections. So if you're going to put one foot in and attempt to remove political affiliation, you seem to open up
So,
the door to this question, then why not have all partisan activity eliminated and have nonpartisan elections for council as well as school committee?
well, what I was looking at, especially under the 1606, was changing that wording from two major political parties to no more than three of any political party.
Right.
So
Right.
unaffiliated comes in and applies, but I'm a cool moose. All right, so. and you
Moose isn't
apply-
recognized anymore.
No, but whatever's
Right.
whatever's recognized,
Right.
right, as unaffiliated. So when they put unaffiliated and they want to put whatever party they are affiliated with, whatever's recognized, then that's one considered party, right?
No, they're not a party.
No.
They're not a party.
No.
No, so that's.
Not even if it's
So you
recognized.
can't put party
There's only
affiliation
two,
because it's,
right.
That's correct. So
You could have-
that
you could have
that gets
full board
back
of
to Jay,
unaffiliated.
that's exactly, that gets back
Yeah,
to
because
Jason's point.
In order to be recognized, you have to get a certain percentage of votes.
5% in the gubernatorial, in the preceding
Then you-
gubernatorial
that's why
race.
Cool Moose was recognized for a
Right.
short period of time.
What's
Because he
his
got more
name,
than
right?
5%, right?
Yeah.
And after he stopped running and passed away, then,
He had 20-something% of the vote.
On
Yeah.
a $5,000 campaign.
Right, right. So it's just an observation. I mean, because if you open that up,
Yeah,
then
that's-
are you obligated to open it up to even to the elected offices that you're running for in the town? I just point that out. But, and I also feel, again, if you're gonna review this, you really need to have the Democratic Party chair and the Republican chair to weigh in, They need to do that public duty side of their position, I would think.
And this is part of charter review. However, is there anything that says that next election, we can't put it on the ballot? We can put charter review on the ballot anytime we want. It's like, we don't have to wait. So it may be rushing it a little bit to try to throw it on this ballot, I think. Yeah, I mean, I think you will
Don't have
have,
to do anything.
I think you have too many people. If it's a discussion that we should have, I think it should not be, we're doing it tonight, we're throwing it on the ballot. That's that. It feels a little rushed.
It could be on any ballot. It could be-
Correct.
it could be
That's
when we
correct.
do the,
That's
um,
correct.
referendum or whatever.
Yes.
I mean, although it is better to do it. on-
I'd rather
better to do
have it during
now.
election.
No,
time.
because the
No,
referendum. you have
that's
like
fine,
200
but
people
my
for-
point is, it doesn't have to be
Be done.
this election. It can be done in 2 years. Yes.
Absolutely.
We did
Yeah,
in 2020, this was up in 2020, and obviously COVID.
Right,
Otherwise,
right,
stuff would have been
right.
2 years ago.
I may be wrong, but I was not really familiar with the details of the rest of what was in the document. And I talked a little bit with Sarah late this afternoon. She was good enough to give me the document. I went through it quickly. The rest of it, unless I'm wrong, really seems to be deleting things that are obsolete or no longer applicable or words missing. It's
It is
language thing.
straightforward.
There's nothing of
so-
substance.
I mean, there's certainly a case here because I think it's pretty simple and not controversial. If you want to try to attempt to clean up the charter this time, what would be the timetable in order to, Sarah's got to get it to the
Well, that's why we're
secretary by
here
August
tonight.
10th.
One of the things that I'm concerned with, as you guys said, somebody said it earlier, was all this wording on a ballot. How many people are actually going to read it? So if you overwhelm them with 10, 15 in 2 years, I'd rather throw 1 or 2 on now.
Well, it would just,
Let's look at what we can put on
So
there
even-
now.
Even when it's cleaning up language, just to clarify, if it's cleaning up language, that's still a whole separate vote.
That's what I was gonna ask Tara,
I-
because
I vaguely recall that we've done some cleanup before, and it was one simplified question that provided the authority to make the amendments that were in another document that was mailed to all the voters in the town and available at the polling places. I mean, and that's how,
How you'd word them.
well,
Well, but
because
I mean, it's referring back to the mayor in some of these things,
Well,
which
right.
clearly, I can't, so I think that's a very valid
these
point.
are just,
make,
So that's what I mean. stuff
Right,
like
it's
that. It
cleanup.
doesn't have to be a whole
Word it-
separate
word it,
item on the ballot. of
I-
Well, again,
Can't we just do administrative type cleanup?
Administrative changes.
Well,
yes.
right.
I would have to look.
They-
I don't know that off the top of my head. Tim would know that. off the
I
top.
would think if you talk to Tim or Secretary of State or Secretary of State's office, you'll see that in other towns, they've been able to frame a general question from when they're doing technical or word cleanup on their charter.
Removal of the term mayor from all.
And,
Anything in the
but
whole
even,
chunk,
yeah,
I mean,
right.
402.
Yes.
Qualification, members of the council as defined in this charter shall, at the time of their election, and strike the word during
Mhm.
and add the word throughout.
Right.
I mean, that's
Which
a,
is cleaning
that's
up type,
a,
but you're
that's
gonna
a,
waste the whole ballot question. but it seems
Exactly.
ridiculous,
Mhm.
right?
I mean, nobody's gonna read,
Well,
yeah.
Or what's gonna happen is you're gonna have the important ones in there, and they're gonna ignore all of them, because they're like, I'm not reading all this, and they're just gonna skip them.
well, so why not bundle up all of this simple wording stuff and just have one referendum question on there to do a modernization and an update of the language on the charter and see what the wording would need to be.
And then
I
give-
don't know if we can do that, but
I-
I think
And
that
then-
makes sense.
and then give some examples like any references to mayor, any reference to when the charter was first put out. Because there's a lot of the cleanup language that's at the passage of this charter, this will change, and after that, this is the way it is. So, I mean, we could just leave it. It's just historical.
Well, we've printed the document, the town's printed the document that actually has those revisions as a mailed piece to the voters and available. But, just a simple authorization statement that this is allowing the town to do the administrative update and, whatever.
Yeah,
The language that's been used in the book.
705D, change from his to
Right.
there. I mean,
Oh, right.
I just,
It's not a big thing, but again, do you want to have an updated charter?
oh,
or-
you do? No, my point is, I think we should clean it up, but is there an easy way to do it is
Oh,
the
right.
question.
Well,
I mean, we could change resolutions on the fly, we can change ordinances, if it's an administrative type.
mhm. I think it has to depend, and this is just my understanding about these changes, is that if it changes the meaning or interpretation of the statute or the ordinance or whatever it is, then the more of an impact the change would have, I think you lean more towards the needing the whole ordinance. As far as changing, anywhere the term mayor is referenced because it's now outdated, that maybe, again, I have to look into it. But as far as like, I think it all depends on the impact it has on the
Plantations,
interpretation of the ordinance.
plantations is cited.
Or even the grammatical ones where they were just choosing a better word that sounds better in a sentence, that's not necessarily changing the interpretation of it.
No, and it's
Tim
not,
should have
it's saying that you,
familiarity with
Yeah,
this.
he's, I didn't. This was kind
yeah,
of
I mean, so there are references in here where we say something's gonna be on the website. Well, we didn't have a website then, so just adding that as well as newspaper and or, I mean, I can't imagine that people would object to that change. But I also agree with
So
Jay
there's
that
a
we're
way
not
to-
gonna,
There's a way to do it.
Mhm.
yeah,
Can't
They-
minimum.
the solicitor's office would need to draft the language. You all would
Correct,
have to have a
correct.
special meeting, come back and approve that. And Sarah understands that that then may need to go to the Board of Canvassers locally prior to August 10th for their approval in order to ship it to the Secretary of State within the timeline.
Yeah, I mean, there are some that I think do have substance.
Is there a-
Vacancies of the town council. If a vacancy shall occur in the town council,
Depends on what your will is.
2 years, 1 year is crossed out and 2 years or more prior to the regular election. I mean, so that's a change. Yes, that's right.
That's a
Could we have
substantial
one?
change.
That one, I think we should be on. the ballot,
Absolutely.
right? That one definitely should
So that is one, but a lot of these
be.
about,
On the terms, if like, somebody leaves in the first 2 years, it's another election. If it's the last 2 years, it's an appointment of the same party by the council,
So could we have two sections?
which is confusing also because we have an unaffiliated person.
Could we have, if we're changing or altering in any way, say 20 of these? And just for argument's sake, say 10 of them, we're only changing a word, his to her, eliminating the word mayor, or,
I like his to her, but it probably should be his to they or their or them, but yes, but I like the her part, yeah, all
But-
right. Yes.
yeah, or, yeah, all right, you're throwing me off now.
Yeah, sorry.
But something where it's not really using the word substance, it's just, we're changing this, it doesn't really matter. And this is the changes, this is the changing we're making.
Mhm.
And then, so it might be not to list the whole, to write out the whole ordinance or the whole topic,
It
which
would-
is, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, if.
Because I'll be
in
honest with
theory,
you.
That makes perfect.
I wouldn't read, I
sense.
wouldn't read it as if I was just a voter and I'm coming up and I'm looking at, all right, I'm voting for the Ward 4 candidate for council. Am I gonna look at prior to being on the council? No. Am I gonna look at the charter? I'm not. I'm gonna read kind of that synopsis. I want to get in and vote for my person and leave.
If there's 2 or 3, maybe.
And I think
but if there's
that's-
15, 20, no.
Exactly. But I would scan over it and if there's something caught me, then it's like, oh, wait a minute. But other than that, I'm going in there to just vote for my person and that's it.
Yeah, so.
You know, it's not the right approach, but it's the realistic approach.
That's your approach.
Which is realistic, you know, I think in many cases, for me and people like me, but
But there are a number of
but now that I'm on the council, it
corrections,
changes.
clarifications.
reads a lot.
The tax collector shall, collector and receive. They want to change it to collect and receive. Collector's wrong. It's grammatically incorrect.
I'm wondering if that's something that could be done easily, like the phrase with the ordinance and then have that somehow changed within, so you don't have to write the whole
So,
ordinance the first and.
I'm wondering
That's
if you
my
can
question.
put,
Mhm.
giving the council and clerk and solicitor the authority to
Make administrative.
wordsmith or whatever,
Yeah.
and then put example and put mayor to town manager or him to they,
Yeah,
you know, just put it IE example, you know,
I think that's probably.
could you,
Or you have to list list 507,
Who approves it?
509, 213.
huh?
Do you have to list those?
Would be the council. Well, it would, to me, I would put this wordsmithing on.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question as far as listeners? I think a lot of cities and towns are coming up against this issue that these documents, these charters are outdated for the times. And the amount of changes that needs to bring them up to speed is pretty cumbersome. Is there any possibility, or do you know of any other city or town that has basically introduced a new charter and asked the voters as a whole, do they want to adopt a new charter?
Or you mean like, so yes or no, we approve this entirely new charter like we
Right.
do the budget? I don't know.
I mean, that's more complicated.
That's.
I mean,
Yeah.
this is a simple, wordsmithing
Mhm.
type of.
That is, I was hoping it would be more than that. There are no other issues really tackled in here.
Is that the one that Mark,
Yeah, there really aren't many that,
So Timmy, Timmy should, because of past experience, Timmy should know how to bundle this up to come up with the question for the referendum,
Mhm.
let alone what would be required as a supplemental piece that is either mailed to the voters or available to the voters that explains that authority.
And I think if we put a line in there that says any changes afterwards will be presented to the town council and public opinion can be discussed then.
With a workshop or
Whether,
whatever.
yeah, whether it's a
Yeah.
workshop or even a regular meeting, because if we don't overwhelm an agenda, we put like 2 on every agenda for how many years it's gonna take to get through all the minor things that we need to fix. You know, like, people have the opportunity to come forward and say, no, I don't like that, and why. So I think that would probably be the best way to do it if we could figure out a wording on the ballot to address it that way.
Well, I'm thinking now that we're in this whole situation where we're dealing, now we have to be considerate of pronouns and other ways that you identify people. I would think that this is not, like you said, this is not the only town that's all of a sudden has to change everything. So I'm wondering if this has already been discussed up on, the powers that be.
Is Bernie Almonte, he's not the executive director of the League of Cities and Towns, he should be able to tell you.
Yeah, if they've already discussed a way that the municipalities can make these changes to their ordinances, their charter, without having to do all that. So what I'll do is I can ask him, or I can even make some calls, and we can give you more information on that within a day or two.
When, I thought we were gonna be voting on this today, is this just?
to pick the wording tonight.
So that's what I was just worried because.
Yeah, we're not gonna do that.
We're under time constraints from the state. I didn't realize it was gonna come up so quickly, but they want everything to them by August 10th if it's going on the November ballot.
When's our meeting?
And
The
if
ninth?
we have any
16th.
questions, our Board of Canvassers has to certify those questions. So even if the Board of Canvassers were to meet, and I don't have a calendar in front of me, let's say the 9th of August,
It's gonna be too late.
we have to post an agenda for them with the questions. So it's really more previous to that. I mean, I don't think that there's anything within these suggestions, that's really time sensitive or really pressing. I mean, I think that it's something that we need to definitely work on, but I don't think the town's gonna fail if we
It's
don't.
not a huge
change it.
thing that's on here, but if it doesn't end up on the ballot this year, it's gonna be a huge issue. That makes sense.
My suggestion for tonight then would be, I agree with, I mean, I gave my opinion on the party affiliation one, but the other one, because of the expense behind it, I think there's something we could put on the ballot. It's one question there. And, if everybody wants to put the other one on the ballot, I like the people to have their own comments and ability to make that decision. But the one that Mary Beth brought up, I think is the bigger one, where how do we replace somebody with the 4-year terms now? Because it doesn't really address that, So
I think that
one
should be on the ballot.
Yeah. So those are the 3 I think we should probably just focus on tonight, because the rest is just words.
Right, so the one about changing the 1 year to 2 years for council vacancies, I actually support that change too, because that prevents a special election.
Right.
Saves tax money.
It
and-
saves money. It doesn't completely prevent it.
Well,
What
let-
I'm saying is it
When
prevents-
somebody served more than, it's when somebody served more than half of a term. is
Yes.
that
Right.
So let me throw an example. out
Which is,
there.
was the case, but it was 2 years and now it's 4 years. So that's the
Yeah,
difference.
let me throw an example out there. So right now, if Mark or Jay are midterm, they're in the middle of their term,
Mhm.
right? Come November, whatever date it was. Let's say one of them decided to run for state rep or senate and they won. Well, they wouldn't even get sworn in until January. So now that puts them past their 2-year marker. So at that point, do you put them in as an appointment or do you have a special election,
It would be an appointment.
right? So as of right now, it's not. It would be a special election.
Right, that's
So
what
the-
she's saying.
So the question is, do you want to put, I agree, Mark, put that on the ballot.
Yeah,
It's 403, right?
403,
403,
yes.
Yeah, so it just includes, I mean, in your case, like when you took John D'Amico's seat, because he was only so many months into
Right.
his,
It would
They're
still be an
still-
Wouldn't have
election.
mattered,
right,
yeah,
yep.
it wouldn't have mattered.
and the other thing in that particular section of 403 with the going from 1 year to 2 year, if we could take the language and change it, a special election shall be called by the town clerk, the two take place within 60 days. That doesn't conform to state law. So if we could strike that,
The state law give you a time
yeah,
frame.
and just say pursuant to the terms of Rhode Island general law or something along those
Well, it
lines.
does say in the manner prescribed by state law.
Right, so I would just suggest getting rid of the 60 days because there's no way for us to run an election, especially if there's a primary. Like Mark could have had a primary before we had an election for his seat, had there been 2 Republicans that declared. So there's no way that we would have had an election within 60 days to elect someone to that position. So I would just strike the 60 days and keep the language as
So
prescribed. in
it would
state law.
said,
Yeah,
if a vacancy shall occur in the town council 2 years or more prior to the regular election, a special election shall be called by the town clerk in manner prescribed by state law.
That's the way, yes,
Yes.
So in
exactly.
a midterm election, there can still be a primary too.
Yes,
a
I
special
mean, I don't mean a
election.
midterm, I mean like a special.
special,
election.
yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely, could have been.
Now, how is it under the school committee? Does that need clarification also? Because I know we just had Steve just leave. Now Angela went in, but that was by appointment.
I think there's.
He was over half.
It was over half, because I don't remember what it is in here for the school committee.
Yeah, because Angela did 1 year and then now she's running again.
Right,
So we just appointed her.
right. She's running again, but he didn't have to run again until 2024.
correct.
She's running again in the
I
midterm.
I
yeah,
think
you
the
know
school,
why?
I think
Because
the
the
school
school committee
committee
does-
says that it gets
We
appointed.
appoint no
It's
matter what,
appointed.
any
Right.
vacancy.
But, right, but then,
If she wins this one, she's only on 2, and then it goes to a 4-year.
right, she has to run again in 2024 if she wins.
But then it goes to
Yes.
the 4
Then
years.
it goes to the 4-year.
Yeah.
And that's why I think honestly, we should make the town council and the school committee exactly the same, so there's never confusion on which one's which.
So like right now, I think it says appoint if any vacancy, no matter what time limit on the school committee.
Well,
Right,
And
yeah,
that's
yeah,
what
no,
some-
I think so, I think you're right.
It's appoint
That's
no
why we
matter
did
what.
that.
So Steve.
Yes, I didn't
Any
like that. I didn't
vacancy
like
in
that.
membership of the school committee which
Steve
occurs,
leave before
it
John
says
or
less,
after John?
4. No.
They both got elected at the same time, but they left like right around the same time.
If Mark was here when we appointed, that's how we know the difference. Were you here when we appointed?
Yes,
Okay, so.
yeah.
Angela, right?
Yeah.
So he left shortly after.
So if, say,
actually, it says the same thing. It's in 1903,
So it's 1903.
1903.
House of Ringers, 1903.
They managed to decide in 19. So in that case, if I were, just use me, I don't have an election, so if I were to leave afterwards, who would appoint a ward for council person? Would that come to the
Four
council?
remaining council members, and I think it would have to be along the same party or unaffiliated, so it would have to be unaffiliated, I would guess, or
Well, they're not a party. I don't know. That's a good question.
if it was Republican, then we'd have to appoint a Republican.
That's obvious, and the Democrat, I agree, but
Unaffiliated.
unaffiliated, I don't know the answer to that.
That'd be a
This has the same language
Moral of
also.
the story is you can't die.
It's actually with the school
Thanks.
committee, it's already, it has better language for the school committee
Right.
because it's,
So 4-year terms.
it is 4-year terms, but it says if it happens within 2 years of the next regular election, well, there's a regular election every 2 years.
Right.
So you're always going to appoint to fill a vacancy.
Right, and I honestly, I think that's probably better even on the council side. You know, I wouldn't be sitting here today if it was this thing, so I, kind of like.
No, you would if you followed the school committee. Well, no,
No,
because
no.
you wouldn't
Well,
have
yeah.
appointed you.
Democrat.
We would have appointed you, Mom.
What's that?
We would have appointed you.
No, I'm not
Well, it doesn't,
Democrat.
does it, of the same, it says same political party. Well, you can change
Right.
quick, right?
Well,
Uh,
I think there's something else in here that says you have to be a member for at least 90 days before you can even, or is that state law? I think it's, yeah, state law, you have to be a member of the party for a period of time prior to.
Yes, 90
Yeah,
days.
yeah.
I was joking.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But just in case people
Yes,
listening, they
yeah,
can, yeah. I knew you were joking.
I just wanted to throw out a thought. I mean, if you're able to identify items that can get handled and worded for this year's election, terrific. If some of it you feel you need more time, I think, and help me out here, Sarah, you could work on those things and identify them and then put them on the town budget referendum question in May of next year.
Yeah.
So.
And I think that's not a bad idea.
What I don't want to have happen is to have this appear as we're rushing to get something through.
Well,
And
those
those
things
that
that-
are obvious, I agree.
You know,
Yeah, I'm
it's not
okay
gonna
with
be
that.
Heavy lifting and
Right.
handling it or whatever. See if you can package up and do it. Otherwise, do your homework some more and set yourself up to vote on them at the all-day referendum in May.
Well,
Might be a good one for the wordsmithing because
yeah.
of
Time
the low
constraints.
turnout and the time.
Uh,
You want the meat and potatoes when you're gonna have some attendance.
I think the governor's race is gonna draw a lot of turnout, so.
This year
we
I
should be
agree.
good.
You don't think it is?
I know,
Oh,
he said
yeah,
it will. I
yeah.
think this year it will. I think
Yeah.
it's gonna be a big turnout this year. I think the national influence is more than anything. But my thought is, because we changed the council to 4 years, like the school committee, and it's broken down to the same wards, correct? Wards 4 and
Yeah.
5 are in the same years, the school committee and
Yeah, it's
town
all the same.
council. To me, how we replace a vacancy should be the same language in both as well, because if we're gonna be equal, then let's make it all equal. That's my thought.
Makes sense.
And that avoids special elections
Avoid special,
altogether.
and that's one of my thoughts is the cost for a special election would be completely avoided, because it's gonna be the same political party.
And
The
it's only for-
unaffiliated will
it's
have to
only a
cross
short-
that bridge.
It's only a short
It's only
period
a short
of time.
period
The
of time.
only difference is you're, with the council appointing a school committee member, you're not appointing your peer. The council person, so say I leave, there's 4 of you are going to be appointing a person working alongside them, voting with
It's had to
them,
have happened before, though.
you know, it's different.
Yeah, but honestly, I thought the school committee really, it honestly made more sense for them to know who they needed as.
And we asked them. I mean, we did ask them to provide input.
Well, let the school
Yeah.
committee pick the council member. You're right, though, but you're also picking who you want to work, like, to be part of your team. And again, it's only temporary. It's not,
It's a short period of time and I don't know, it just seems to me.
I
The
think that's a
savings-
valid point I didn't consider, though, is that
Well, I
you're
mean-
appointing your peer.
I mean, you're just looking at, do you want to, regardless of their position, you know, it's easier to work with somebody who's going to say, yes, I agree, yes, I agree, yes, I agree, to avoid all the confrontation and,
Oh, yeah, but
well, but again, I think it's easier. I don't,
think you're
I don't-
selling us short, yeah.
but no,
Is that
I,
power and authority that you want to give up?
what's
Yeah.
that?
Is that power and authority that you want to give up? You're the legislative body for this town that sets policy and standards and
Right,
so on.
yeah,
Are you willing to give that up to another body and lose control over that?
no,
They're a creature of the charter. Then you're gonna wind up diluting
Mhm.
and altering some of the structure of the town, in theory, at least. I mean, it's an interesting question, but I would, no, you're,
yeah, but a few times that it comes up and it's for a short period of time, I think it makes sense for us to also whoever's in the council to appoint that spot.
And again, it has to be the same party, the person leaving anyway, so.
When you say same party, I'm an independent,
Well, I know that's.
so I'm not a member of a party, so how does that work?
did they run it by party or did we change that to nonpartisan?
What's that?
the school committee says party.
It is a
Yes.
party, it is a-
School committee
Yes.
says it shall be of the party as the person whose position he or she is elected to
Next
fill,
time they made a question about changing the school committee to a nonpartisan election.
which would be.
Yeah, but that doesn't work.
I
Yeah.
get it.
There's plenty of communities that are nonpartisan, but everybody knows what their affiliations are, so.
Well, Coventry's nonpartisan, so their primaries, we're just talking about this today, like, it's a runoff, so if there's 4 people, they do it, the top 2 advance, and it doesn't matter what party you are, because they don't acknowledge the party, I mean, you know who they are, like you said, but. So you could end up with like 2 Democrats or 2 Republicans in the final showdown. But I think you also, in Coventry, you vote for, like, if there's 3 people, you're voting for your top 2 selections.
So I guess the question that we have to ask then is, if we're going to leave school committee as is, you talked about changing it from 1 year to 2 year. Do we want to actually change the wording to be more like school committee? So that's the issue at hand that you brought up.
Well,
And then I might suggest that actually that the wording is okay in the school committee, but it makes it sound like you would always have a possibility of an election. And I don't think you'd ever have a possibility of a special election, correct?
Yeah,
So,
I
so
can't
I think we should be more clear in that. I think because,
We're appointed.
yeah,
That's what it should say, appointed by the town council.
I think that kind of dances all around. I think that's what it says, but it's like, there's a lot of words in there.
Yeah, because it's an election every 2 years, so.
That's correct. So you
yeah,
can never have, that's right,
So
right.
I don't think the language hurts, but helps either way. But, well, I think first of all, I think we as a council, do we want to make ourselves different or than the school committee language, or do we want to, sorry, the same? Yeah. Do you want to be the same as school committee? Or you want to be different than the school committee language? I think, again, up until what Jay said, which kind of does throw in a little bit of a monkey wrench, is, you know, the council's appointing their peer. And I mean, there's positives and negatives to everything, so I don't see that as much of an issue.
No, I don't
Personally.
either. I really don't either. Again, if it can eliminate special elections and the confusion that goes along with it, special elections seem to always take place in the summer. It seems hard. Yeah.
we don't get you now because those seats follow a Title 17 election. You have your 20 days of early voting. There's a lot that goes
There's a lot more
into
to it.
that. It's not just, one,
Good point
it's
on that
not like
also,
it-
yeah.
our all day.
One day you come
referendum.
in and do it.
It's not
No,
like that
at all.
anymore. So,
Right.
and like I said, like if Mark or I forget who your opponent was, but if there was a Democratic or Republican, there was two, we would have had to have a primary. His election wouldn't have been till much further out. Had there been, two of the same party running for that seat.
And
So you
you'd
could have
be-
been
You'd be
having
doing primary work, you'd be doing, yes.
in 20 days of early voting prior to both of them.
Yeah,
In the
which is
staff
kind of
along
crazy
with
for,
that. So the
for a
expense to the
term
town.
limited,
So that's,
position.
and that
So I-
60 days definitely has to go.
The 60 days has to go in,
Right.
even in the school committee one,
Yes.
Right.
right? So in 1903, 60 days has to be eliminated.
I mean, state law always supersedes,
Yeah, but
but it's
as
nice
well
to
get
have
rid
the
of it.
language correct in our charter,
So
so
it
we
said-
never run into that. problem.
yes, next regular election, a special election shall be called.
So are you saying for, on the council, it would be an appointment just like the school committee?
Yeah, see,
Yes.
so why don't we change again, so that last sentence, and then maybe it's me. If a vacancy occurs 2 or more years prior to the next election, which can never happen, right?
Can
Because there's an election every 2 years.
Correct.
So why doesn't it just say appointed by the town council? I mean,
Yeah, it's very simple.
I think that language, maybe, the only way I can think of why they would write it that way is because it's a 4-year term. When they're saying a regular election, they mean for that
Doesn't say that.
situation. I know. But I'm saying that's the only reason why I could think of that language is even there, is because my next regular election's in 2024.
Correct.
So, but I think common sense would say that a regular election, everybody's thinking every
Years.
even year.
and I agree with that. I don't think that. I think 2024, you should have to run. It's not a 4-year term you get. It's, yeah,
Like Angela's
yeah,
doing right now.
right.
Right, like Angela's doing now. I completely agree with that.
Yeah,
No
so do
problem-
I.
No
Even
problem
though
with
it-
appointing
even though that's
somebody to
really
fill
only
out a
2.
term.
Yes.
It's a special election that's occurring on the same day as the regular election. It's
Right.
basically what it is. So there's no additional cost running
Right,
that special.
Correct.
election.
So if you're gonna do the same thing with the council and appoint a fellow council person, the one thing I just think you just have to make known that there's 4. All right, I'm just using me, I'm going. There's 4 of you have to appoint somebody. You vote person
If
A.
it's a tie, if it's a tie,
If
you
it's a
mean?
tie, what do you do?
It fails.
What fails?
You wouldn't be able to
Nobody-
appoint the person. No one would be appointed.
That's right.
So you'd have to agree on
So
somebody.
you haven't even, okay.
Yeah, you have to sit here, filibuster it until somebody get tired and said, I can't sit here anymore. You win.
Have hard seats that day. Yeah.
I mean, well,
Off a week
Just
of
take all the
parliament,
seats
you
out of the
just
No,
room.
it's
relax.
fine, but it may come up, so that's why.
Well, I mean, that could have happened with the school committee had you come in a little bit later. We could have had that situation. If you came in like a month and a half later, we
Right.
could have had that situation happen then.
Right.
So it can happen. Would have had to come to some kind of a consensus.
But what, so.
Anything, I mean,
If the president doesn't know he has the votes, what the hell is it on the agenda for? I mean, you can't.
Vin, I don't worry about if I have the vote. I put it out there anyway. If it gets
He shouldn't
voted-
know he has the votes because then that would be,
So, but if you get, so
Open meetings
seriously, though, if
violation.
if you, as long as we're redoing the charter, if you get to that point where, I mean, personally, if I feel that I'm right, I'm not giving in. So do you know what I'm saying, though?
Yeah,
So,
but so if it, yeah.
and I'm
if
sure
it's
you
a
feel the
tie-
same way.
if it's a
If you
tie,
feel
it's
you're
a
absolutely
tie.
right,
If it's tie, it's a tie, and then
then nobody gets
Yeah,
it.
there's a stalemate, it's a
And
push.
that's right, then you figure it out and there's, it stays,
To put in the band of 4 people up there rather than.
and you might have to live with that for the rest, yeah.
You have a lot of people sitting home watching their computer with
Well,
popcorn.
think about when you're out sick. We've had a
I
few
suppose we
times,
do
we've
that.
had a few times like
Right.
you were out of state or you were out,
If you're talking like.
right? But again,
You're not
it's
talking
on the
just a vote,
agenda.
You're talking.
Yeah, but we've been close on a couple of times where it was, I thought it was gonna go 2-2. A couple of times, and
As long as you have a quorum, it's.
the quorum,
Yeah.
I honestly thought for sure there was, I forgot which one it was, but it was, I thought it was gonna be a 2-2 vote, and
I think I know, and it's still an issue as far as I'm concerned, but it's not on the agenda, so I won't mention it.
you can fill me in, refresh my memory later.
So the answer is,
There's no answer.
Wait,
yeah,
I-
so
I
we
think-
want 403 language to be 1903, maybe cleaned up a little bit to
Yes.
not be so confusing.
Yes.
yes.
So I think, Tara, does it have to be 2 separate questions? Because we're gonna change the language on 1903 and change language on, yeah, so it's gonna be 2 different questions, even though it's,
The same
Put it the
changes,
same
2
way, I just had it
questions.
printed earlier.
2 questions.
That's fine.
I
So,
think that's fine.
yeah.
So we'll be adding 3 questions to the ballot.
so
for the charter.
403, 1903, and 22, whatever.
Whatever Al had, it was the
2203 maybe?
2203, yep.
Wow. 403, yeah, huh?
Yeah, a lot of
03.
threes, 3 threes.
At least not 6s, right? 3
Yeah.
6s would be a problem.
Yeah, that'd be a
I think,
problem.
yeah.
Yeah. Scratching one of them.
I do have, I think it might be a silly question, but it's number 2003. There shall be the following offices to which the town council shall appoint said appointees to serve at the town council's pleasure. A fence viewer. I've never seen the term. Like we-
The fence view is out when I call him and ask if the fence she was right. That's about.
So is that something that it should be here or could be wrapped up into one? Or
Now, what was a fence viewer?
sealer of weights and measures?
Seals of weights and measures is out there and should still be utilized. We appoint somebody. And actually, the last person I think is appointed was Steve Marshall. And that's how long ago, but I don't know if he's ever done or got qualified or whatever it was. But the weights and measures is the person who goes to the gas station, making sure that you're getting a full gallon, or you go to Jerry's supermarket and they're giving you a pound of meat and it's not, 3/4 of a pound. That's the,
I like seeing those little.
Make sure you're getting a
stickers
full
on the gas
foot
pipe.
long at Subway.
Do we, do
Although
you know
I
about
find
any of
myself
this?
sitting there
It should
doing the
be-
math sometimes, but I really, yeah.
I would definitely.
You don't want that 11-inch sub at Subway?
I'm not
I'm
an
not-
attorney, so
Again,
I don't want to say what we.
I don't know, like, if they're actively doing it, and that's something we could probably look
Yeah,
into.
and we can change, again, I don't know that we
But
need to rush
we
it.
appoint that.
Not rush it, but it's in here. so
Yes.
it Should be brought up.
Some of these may have been assumed by.
You didn't know.
Right.
Oh,
The fence viewer might be the building official's office, right?
That's what I would say.
But the seals and weights and measures, that is still out there. I don't know if we're
aware of
actively
coal
using
and
it.
other
Had enough
merchandise.
lights. I mean, this, I
Well,
think some of
Joe
this-
Argenti does that sort of, right?
Right, like civil defense director is now like EMA.
Yeah, so it's
Right.
And-
Jeff Perone, yes.
And
On the fence view, the building office handled the one out here on Legion Way.
When you had the issue you couldn't see right here.
The Legion Way, and then wasn't the Kentucky Fried Chicken on Route 2
Yeah.
or something?
Oh, yeah, all right, all right.
So we called it in and went to the building official's office because people were driving around the back of,
Yeah, I remember.
and the
that.
lights
I-
were
yeah,
hitting the.
I did that for like 4 months.
How many
This
years
section.
did you go, where you couldn't reach the tree warden?
Yeah, well,
So should we take what's here? And if it's assumed by an employee, most of it probably be building.
to
So
me,
should we
that,
just
to
eliminate it?
me, that would be one I would suggest that if you're gonna do a modernization and update on languages and titles, that could just be one of the ones included.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but again, for the charter, for the budget vote, not,
Right.
not for this, yeah.
I just confirmed with the director of elections, we cannot put it on our all-day referendum ballot. It has to be a Title 17 election ballot.
Oh, really?
Yes. So
Okay.
that's not.
So what we do has to be
That's
either
okay.
now or 2 years from now.
So it'd be 2 years. The other thing I was looking at when I was going through that I had circled was 915, which is residents. I believe we might already be possibly breaking this rule. Basically, what it's saying is that our town manager, police chief, fire chief, and director of public works has to be a resident or has to sign an
Yeah,
affidavit
because we've, well, an
saying that
affidavit.
they're gonna move in within a year.
So I know we
just thought there's something that
State laws took
supersedes
care of
that.
police and fire and teachers and everything on this, not the manager.
yeah, and the manager,
Cannot move.
and again, I know in the past, we have waived it. I'll go back to Wolfgang. It wasn't waived. I know he rented an apartment down on Industrial Lane. Whether or not he truly lived there is another whole,
I think a lot of
Question,
communities are striking this.
but yeah, and we, and I know like Stamfler moved into town, Jim Thomas moved into town, obviously
Ernie didn't
Mark.
live, yeah.
Ernie did not live here and neither did Fred Presley. So the last two, we have waived the residency rule.
That should be updated though. I mean, especially for.
It shouldn't have to be a resident these
Right,
days.
yeah.
Well,
This
but
day and
actually,
age in
there
West
is
Warwick.
there is language in there that allows you.
Yeah.
If you can't find anybody,
With that, right.
if you, upon certification of the town council that after a diligent search, no person with proper qualifications can be found to fill position of town manager, police chief, fire chief, and director of public works, then the residency requirement will be waived by the town council. So there is the ability
Is
for
an
that.
improvement hurdle though, to somebody who's looking to say, I won't.
I'm not gonna do that because, yeah.
Yeah, I don't, that should,
Well,
I mean,
maybe.
because there's certain times
Maybe.
where, there's certain times where we spoke about specific departments, but there was definitely some I can think of offhand where we knew who we wanted to appoint and they were not a resident of the town and we appointed them to, and I think that that's fine. I don't think that it should have to be a requirement.
Right, but state laws covers everything on here except town manager. State law already says you cannot force police.
You're right. So, I mean, it might be something, I don't know.
So, I mean, that's, to me, it's not even a consideration. Now, I personally would like to see it stay that the town manager has to be a resident. Again, the waiver part is there, but you're making decisions. If you don't live here and you're not affected by those decisions, you're more likely to make decisions that,
Like,
I want you affected. by
I
the
think,
decision.
I think it's,
I'll be honest with you. I've worked with, I think, 10 town managers now. And the ones that were forced to move here made a lot of wrong decisions. I want to be honest with you. Like, I don't agree with that because, you know, the ones I've seen move from Midwest and the ones I've seen move from Michigan to here, they left here and they made those decisions
I at
and they
least,
left and they're not here to do those decisions.
I at least.
At least if they're in Rhode Island, like, let's just say, I'll use Fred Presley example. You know, he was in Westerly, right? He might have made a decision, but he was in Westerly and he's back in Rhode Island. So he's always been involved in Rhode Island, where Mike Stamfler is off of Michigan. I ain't heard nothing from him, you know, Jim Thomas, no, I don't.
Oh,
hear
but this
nothing
says
from him.
residency in the town.
But again, with those town managers being here, and those are managers that lived here, I can tell you now that didn't make a difference. I think, you know, well, like.
Well, I think
like
that's more
Mark's
of a
been
managerial
lifelong-
choice, whoever the council is to make that decision,
And I-
as
like-
opposed to like a
Like,
requirement.
I agree, Mark's been here lifelong, resident of West Warwick.
Makes a huge
And it
difference.
does make a huge difference when you're hiring, obviously. But, you know, just making them, if they're in Rhode Island, you know, I think that should be it. That's good. I mean, they could be the more qualified person might not live here. You know, they might have a house they've been in their whole entire life.
It also depends on your,
Then we have the
it
waiver option.
depends on your city's,
I mean, there is a waiver option in there.
We've
so-
waived it. I know
it
that.
depends on your town's needs. I think each, we've had different needs when we look for different town managers at different
Yeah,
times.
I don't know that there's a sense of urgency to change that because there is the ability to waive it. So.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, I know Wolfgang, he rented an apartment down on Industrial Lane. I can't say he lived there or not.
Well.
Oh, at the end?
No, right in the middle, the little
What-
house.
what year
I
did
don't
he
know if
leave?
it's still- 10, 9,
That way?
10.
I know.
Jim
it was-
Thomas came in around 10.
I know it was an issue when he was in here because I kind of made it an issue. because I didn't like his style, but this was changed in 2001. So it was updated then. I didn't know if that had
Yeah,
anything,
they didn't waive it. He was still, maybe they,
but they could have waived it.
I remember
at the time.
Wolfgang was
I
here
don't
for
know
a very
whether-
long time. Maybe they did waive it.
We need to do a roll call on these ones that we're gonna be giving to you, or
I don't think it would be a bad idea to do it that way.
At the end, I think we could just put the numbers together. Somebody keeping track of all these numbers that we want to make changes.
403, 1903, and 2203 written
Thank you.
down right now.
Yes.
Glad somebody's writing them down.
I mean, the rest of that, I saw it's just all language stuff.
403, 1203, and
1903,
what was the other one, the third one?
203.
Sorry.
No, that's right.
In stereo.
There you go.
So quick question on the suggestion that Sarah made, just as an example for the residents one. Can we do that without the charter review commission making that suggestion, or can we only work off the
With
stuff?
anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just
We have
wanted-
the
I just
ability
wanted-
to do anything, no.
Wanted to clarify on
Yep.
that just to make
Nope.
sure.
1302, they're striking.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Vin.
Vin.
Have a good night.
Thank you. They're striking police chief qualifications, and I'm not,
They do the same thing with fire chief also in 1402. But I think it's just because it's old language and then it says effective July 1st, 2003, and it comes in with pretty much similar language, but just to get rid of all the
so
excessive.
that could be,
The wordsmithing.
yeah, okay, yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, most of it is just that. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
just
not,
Cleaning up.
Yep.
Taking confusion out. They did a good job with the stuff they struck,
Okay.
what I could tell.
they did. They did.
Going looking at 1502, Public Works, Director Qualifications. Do we have the opportunity to waive these qualifications at the hiring process?
We have. I don't know if we have the.
I know. So,
I think the suggestion was to include the wording from somewhere else here to give you
Right.
that.
Okay.
Or all relevant job experience.
As deemed appropriate by town council, that probably should be in there because that's how we've been operating and living.
Yeah, I know.
So. And quite honestly, it would be rare for us to be able to afford someone who's graduated from a recognized college with a degree in engineering, business, or public administration to fill that job. The salary scale would not be appropriate, I don't think it would gain much interest. So,
I'm just looking
I
to
think that's
to make
probably,
sure we follow it.
Yep.
You know,
well, either that or change it, you're right.
right, either one.
So this is another one that was changed at a special election. 2001. So we couldn't add this, it would have to be a special election if we wanted to do these, we just couldn't add it to the budget.
Correct. It would have to be a Title 17 election.
So if we take the most important ones for this election, the 2 or 3 or 4, whatever, and take whatever's left, and we can work on this periodically throughout the next, say, year.
Yep.
Set a deadline of when we want this complete, instead of waiting till August.
Yep.
That way this could be done. And you have time to actually put this together. Tim could look through anything that says, or Al, could look through anything that kind of says, you know what, you might be in jeopardy about this, you may want to change this. But that gives us, we're off the hot seat.
I think it would definitely be advantageous to you guys to either ask our own solicitor or hire a solicitor who specializes in this to review the whole thing and give you guys a recommendation of.
And meanwhile, we can check with the cities and leagues to see if they've done
Maybe
anything
they have somebody.
to a
right?
point. Well, not only that, you know, like the pronouns and the they, the there, the I's and the highs and the
And the
buys and the
mayor, town
whatever.
manager / town manager, or the grammatical things and the typos and.
Yeah.
All right,
So we're gonna add 1502 to our list? Because if we're already,
Probably, we're already, yeah.
Go with that. That's 5, right? I think
That's
5 is
4. I thought
reasonable.
that was
403, 1903, 2203, and 1502. Am I missing one?
No, I think it was 4.
we had to get a non-3
It's
in
not
there.
charter, but we need marijuana.
Oh, yeah.
You need some, you want a break? We'll give you a couple of minutes.
And that,
counts as one that's, one that you need to
Well-
put on there,
yeah,
but.
so that'll be 5 total questions.
5
No.
total
Yeah.
questions.
Is this, the state's gonna be
If-
putting some on too, correct?
I'm sure.
The state's
Yeah,
gonna
they usually do,
The
yeah.
what?
the state's gonna be.
Oh, their own
putting on
referendums? Yeah.
Some,
They usually have something, right?
But they always do. So if we're gonna try and limit hours.
I mean,
then
there's bond money that's out there. There's, yeah. I know.
Yeah, so I think 4 is reasonable.
5 with the.
Although we have 5 here, 403,
If we put
1903,
them out,
2203,
Well,
1502.
to me, we have to.
No, we should, we got it. Yeah, we got to put that. No?
I think you, well, we'll talk about that when that
Yeah.
time comes.
Did we already miss that?
So,
Or-
to have
We
a,
didn't do
no,
it.
can I have a,
We didn't
I
mo-
thought I missed
can I
that.
have a motion to move those 4?
I make a motion to move 403, 1903, 2203, and 1502 for a vote.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Now we have to work on the language of them.
Do we? Is
Well,
that
I
our
think
job?
The 15,
I think you, well.
We have to approve
I-
that?
Yes,
We actually have to prove the exact language?
yeah, for the ballot, we do.
yeah, so I think 1502 is just the way they have it marked in here.
Yep.
I think it's perfectly fine.
Okay.
Well, we could, because now on the online right now, this is on the agenda, so we can say approve as amended on here. We can say that for this.
Well, no, you'd just be put on there.
We'll just read it into the record.
Okay, okay.
Can we do it that way? Would that work, Tara, if they just read it into the record, how they want it amended?
Yeah, I think that should work.
Right, do we want to start with?
So Mark, you had 1502 exactly how it's written?
I think it is because
Yeah,
it just adds
fine.
that one line at the
Are
end.
we gonna go numerically, go
So
403 first?
we'll go 15, well, we know 1502 is easy. 1502, I have a motion.
Second,
Language as presented.
Yeah.
There's a
So,
motion.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Jay. All in favor for 1502 as worded?
Aye.
Aye.
all right, we roll call no, no,
No, I
all right,
don't-
aye,
Unless it's confusing.
no, it's not confusing.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Al helped us with 403. Sorry, 2203.
Yes.
Well, 403, we're also moving it as it's written as well, correct?
Well, no, I don't think so.
No, because that's,
Oh, okay, all right, yeah,
Add
yeah,
as
sorry.
needed, right,
Um,
somewhere?
so I think 2203 is, yes, as needed someplace.
Okay, we want to get rid of the 60 days, right? Yeah.
The town council within 2 years following the effective date and as needed thereafter.
Just
But we're also striking the 60.
Strike out the every 5 years and put in as needed thereafter shall cause.
Which one?
That sound good to you, Al?
403. Wait, we're 403?
After the word and, so the effective date of
Oh.
this charter and as needed thereafter.
All right.
Right.
Would that work,
Yeah.
Al?
This is 2203.
Yes.
So somebody make a motion as they want it to be presented and I can second.
You okay with that, Al?
Yes.
So the motion would be to move the wording for 2203 to say the town council within 2 years following the effective date of this charter and as needed thereafter shall cause to be prepared a revision of the or codification of the ordinance of the town which are currently in effect and are appropriate for continuation as local laws of the town.
A second.
Such revisions or codification shall be prepared under the supervision of the town solicitor, but the council may authorize the solicitor to contract for the services of persons or organizations experienced in performance of such work.
A second.
Interrupt before you vote, Council President, would it be cleaner to strike that whole part, the within 2 years up till thereafter, and then just put at the end of the sentence as needed?
I actually almost thought that myself. Do we need to talk about because the effective date of the charter? I agree, because that's antiquated, but so should it say,
The town council shall, and then at the end, just put as needed.
Town council shall, as needed,
No, shall cause to be prepared, blah, 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 at the end of the sentence, as local laws of the town as needed.
as needed, you mean?
Yeah.
And
I think you're right,
Yeah.
Mark.
That's fine. So,
Motion as the town manager worded it.
Second.
does it have to,
Want me to
does
read
it have to be read into the record that way, though?
I'll read it if,
If you, yeah, read it.
go ahead.
so the town council shall cause to be prepared a revision or codification of the ordinances of the town, which are currently in effect and are appropriate for continuation as local laws of the town as needed.
Make a motion to move what Mark just said.
Second.
Moving second, any discussion?
Just as long as the rest of it's there also, the subdivision, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
So just for the record purposes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Or actually, we should probably go to the school committee one
1903 first, yeah.
and then fix that and then just duplicate it for 403.
Wait, 1502, is that what we're doing right now?
1903.
I'm all over the place. Okay.
And see, I like this one because it gives like all the different reasons why somebody wouldn't be there. I don't think I missed anything.
So starting with the second sentence, any vacancy in the membership of the school committee which occurs less than 2 years prior to, which will never happen, right?
Yep.
Shall be, no, I'm sorry, shall be filled by the council, which will always happen until the
Right,
next
right.
regular time, when the office shall be. Yeah, so that last sentence, if a vacancy occurs 2 or more years prior to, that can never happen.
Right.
So is that, do you just strike that and leave it as any vacancy in the membership of the school committee which occurs less than 2 years prior to the next regular election shall be filled by the council until the next regular town election? When the office will be filled, an unexpired term thereof, provided that the person selected to said vacancy shall be a member of the same political party as the person whose position he or she is elected to fill. I mean, that's clearer. It sounds still, it still gives the potential, it sounds like there's a potential for a special election with it, which there never is. So I don't know how to make that more transparent.
So it's again, it's an appointment,
It's always an appointment.
but I think
right.
we need to get rid of same political party. Because
No,
if,
that's something, it's a bridge that we cross if it's an unaffiliated. But I don't think
But
I
then-
don't think a
but then you can-
Democrat is gonna want a Republican placed in their spot if there's 3 Republicans and 1 Democrat making the vote. And same the other way. I don't think there's a.
So maybe you have to address unaffiliated in this?
I think you should.
Can.
I don't think you can.
I don't think you can because unaffiliated is unaffiliated. It's like to say the 2 J's who are unaffiliated are exactly alike, you know? You know, have that party platform. There's no party platform with unaffiliated. That's the whole
okay.
point of being unaffiliated.
No, but
You don't
I think
have
the
it.
question would be, if it's unaffiliated, can you fill it with, do you have to fill it with somebody that's unaffiliated, or can you fill it with a Democrat or Republican?
I think that's,
Right.
I mean, Tara could definitely clarify, but I think that, yes, if someone was unaffiliated and they
Mhm.
resigned and you were to fill it, you could fill it with either party.
With anything you want.
With
anybody
any
you want.
party?
Well,
With
there's only two
anyone. It'd
parties,
be any-
two recognized.
No, but you could
parties.
fill it with Democrat,
With any-
Republican, or unaffiliated.
Or, right, any of them.
So any
So
person.
maybe that
any
should say
person.
that.
Right.
Why not make that clear?
Because if you say any party, then you automatically eliminate anybody who's unaffiliated.
Because technically it's not a party.
Correct. So it's just cleaning up the language, correct?
Thanks,
Yeah.
Al.
Good night, Al.
I,
So
So if I'm not on the council, we have this incident with the school committee. I want to throw my hat in the ring. I'm unaffiliated. And then you're saying it's a Democrat, or it doesn't matter, Democrat or Republican that signed off. Why can't I be on there? I think I have good views and I think I'm the best candidate for the job. And I can't be on there because I'm not represented
goes
by
back-
either party.
You're right, but it kind
That's
of goes,
not
back-
right.
but it also goes back to when we were talking about appointing for the, having the separation for like the planning or zoning board where it has to be a certain amount of party. The same thing could be said there, right? Well, I know it has to be,
It's a, but well,
If
that
it is a
changes
particular
that.
party, do you want to keep it the same party
Hmm.
for that appointment
school
period
committee?
only? So do you want to keep it as the same party affiliation or unaffiliated, so you're not eliminating?
I should think it
The
should be the
pool?
best candidate that we see fit. I don't think there should be a U, D, or R in this case.
I have to disagree with you.
I think
You
it's,
can be wrong.
I know.
So I
If
think,
you want-
I think
if you
that's a
want-
big change to take away the D and the R, because as they said,
So you might want to leave it as the same affiliation or unaffiliated.
Right. That would be fine.
right.
so you're saying if a Democrat comes off, it cannot be filled by a Republican, it can only be filled by a Democrat
Or
or unaffiliated?
That's my point with the council is I'm unaffiliated, so I don't have any ties to Republican, Democrat per se. And I'm not saying it's good or bad, but I'm just saying all right, say there's 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans on the council, I'm unaffiliated, I drop out. Are the 2 Democrats gonna put a Republican on the seat? Are 2 Republicans? It depends on the people up here, the
Absolutely,
people. But
absolutely.
in the grand scheme of things, you know that you're gonna get pressure from Rs and from Ds to put that other person on. That's just how the politics are. So I just, and that's kind of where
So I'm
I'm
not sure
coming
what you're
from.
saying.
what I'm saying with this, I think it should be if we're going back to this right here with the school
Yep.
committee, it should be the best candidate for the job. And I think you should throw the R, the D, and the U out of it.
But that's so subjective. The best candidate, who determines who the best candidate is?
They're gonna come up just like Angela did. Right? And she came and put her hat in the ring. You have 3 people come up and put their hat in the ring and say, this is why I'm the best candidate for the job. We're basically selecting them versus electing them.
Yeah, but she still had to be of the same political party. She came up, but she had to be of the same political party.
That's
She
what,
had to
that-
be-
no,
and I-
that's what it,
and I don't
that's what
think-
it says
That's
now.
what it says. I don't think it should.
Right.
But what I'm just saying, I'm using your argument that with Angela, that she was of the same political party, and yes, we chose out of the best ones from that same political
Right.
party.
I think that
So-
should be eliminated in here if we have the choice, personally. That's what I'm saying.
So I guess the confusion lies in, if you're unaffiliated, what's the party?
Well, and I get that part,
Yeah,
but
so that's the
Same-
part that,
right, that has to be clarified. Even with the school committee right now, I don't think there's any unaffiliated on the school committee, but
I
there
actually
could be.
don't know.
I don't know either.
I'm embarrassed to say I don't know.
I don't know. Because going back to Al's point earlier, nowadays,
no
we
idea.
don't really focus on
No,
those
I
things.
don't.
But 20 years down the road, we
Everybody's a
don't know if
Democrat.
people are gonna focus on those things.
Everybody's a Democrat.
It's 5-10.
Is it?
Yeah.
Uh,
I just think it gives the U, it doesn't put them as, they don't have the same opportunity as the 2 parties.
You can add a line, if the person is unaffiliated, that gets, an unaffiliated person gets preference over a party person.
Hmm.
I mean, that way, because I mean, you still have that state law. Was it 60, 90 days? Do you remember? We have to,
90.
yeah, I think it's 90 days also. So if we're gonna
Yeah,
be
but
doing
it's just
this,
a person, you can't appoint them for 90 days if they need to unaffiliate to
yeah,
become
exactly.
eligible.
So we don't have to worry about that. If they're already good listed as unaffiliated, then we're good. Yeah, the other thing on here, but it says next town election, I think town should be going, be general election,
It's regular election.
Yeah. because town election, we have the budget. So I think that word
I'm sorry, where
town,
is it?
about halfway down, all the way to the left.
Oh, yeah. Next, regular election.
Regular or general or whatever.
Yeah, I think that the word general rather than regular is probably is probably better. I think that there tends to be some issues with the interpretation when it just says regular election as to
General,
what that is.
everybody
If it's a
understands. what it
general
is.
election,
And general elections take place every 2 years.
every 2 years in November. Yep. Because our state and Senate and reps.
Yep.
are
So
every 2
all
years.
the regulars, we're gonna change to general.
I think that would probably be a good idea.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I would definitely confer with our solicitor on that, but
Yeah, because it's
It's
a few
funny, it
times in
says,
here.
it says next regular election shall be filled by council until the next regular, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it says regular. I don't know if there's a general. I don't see one. There's 3 of them I found so far.
So basically, it's any vacancy in the membership of the school committee, which don't even have to say less than 2 years.
No, the
You
two
just
should
say, will be,
struck
shall be
because-
filled by the council. Right?
I think for clarification without confusion, maybe the less than 2 years should stay,
Okay,
just so people can't try and wordsmith their way around something.
okay.
Because we all know how that goes.
Do we want to read the,
Got to read it.
yeah, read it as,
Wait
But
one
we still have
second.
to figure
Yeah.
out the unaffiliated part.
So what do you say?
People would just make
if
a
you say-
commitment.
So if you say it's an R, fill it with an R, you can't fill it with a U?
I say yes, but I mean, it could be a circumstance where they
But
can't
if it's
find
a
an R.
U, but if it's a U,
You should be preferenced.
but it can be filled with a
but
D
no, but
or an R.
could you word it as if it's unaffiliated, then it has to be still unaffiliated? They cannot be
Well,
part
that's
of
what
either
I'm saying.
major
It's having
party?
that separate line there.
Because it doesn't,
technically
that's not
a political
recognized.
party.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not a
not,
recognized party. So I think that the way that it's worded now is basically what it's telling you is that if it's an R, it has to be replaced with an R. If it's a D, it has to be replaced with a D. But if it's a U, it could go either way.
So
Remember, so you could be a U, an R, or a
if
D.
that's the case,
Okay.
or a U.
That's what I just said, a U and
Yeah.
R, yeah, okay.
So if that's the case, then why don't we just say that? When it's an unaffiliated seat that is given up, it can be filled by any of the, I mean, just
Any
make that
political
clear.
Could be filled by, by
Use
Anyone.
party,
by anybody,
anyone.
Anyone.
any
Really?
eligible
person.
candidate.
any eligible, that's a good way of putting it, any eligible candidate.
That's right.
Because you have to be from your ward. You
Yeah,
have to be
from, yeah,
a
have to
registered
be, yeah,
voter.
so
You
of the
have to
age
be of a
vote,
certain age. You
yeah.
can't be convicted of a felon, you know, so
That's good.
any eligible
Yeah.
voter, yeah.
All right, so let's look at that.
But I think party
Provided the
affiliation for
person is
those who are
selected.
party affiliated needs to
Should
stay.
stay.
Yeah, yeah.
I see, I disagree with that.
Yeah, but I think if to change that now, that's a monumental change.
So you have a
because-
teacher who just retired after again, hypothetically, after
Yep.
40 years.
Yep.
In the West Warwick school system.
Yep.
And they're unaffiliated. And they're the best, obvious, best possible candidate to be on that school committee. You're gonna say, I'm sorry, but we're gonna take this guy over here who's 18 years old and just graduated from West Warwick. He's an R. He's gonna replace you because he has to
So
replace an
you
R.
wait 11 months and they get to run,
The next general
Yeah.
election, if you want it that bad.
11 months or whatever it is,
I don't
yeah.
know. I disagree with
It's such
everybody
a
on
short
that.
period of time.
Because it's not the best person. It's not the best qualified person. Overwhelmingly.
That's what you think. They may have served 40 years, but were they a good teacher? Just because somebody serves 40 years in a position doesn't make them good.
So I'm a teacher who has
Lots of-
distinguished
Again,
awards.
we can keep going around and
No,
around with
I
all these
know.
possibilities, but
But I don't know. I disagree with you on that. I gotta protect the unaffiliates. Yeah,
we are protecting the unaffiliated here.
I think we are.
I don't know.
Well, yeah, I don't think we are, because at
I don't
least,
think so.
I'm glad, well, I'm glad that we added the language in where if me or you just, for whatever reason, step down, at least somebody could come in that is also unaffiliated as well, or whoever the council
Right.
deems. But I mean,
Your issue is non-affiliated won't be considered for.
An open
a D-
seat, an
For a
open
D
seat.
and an R. It will for the U, but not for a D or an R.
Right.
Correct.
But those of us who chose the D or an R have committed ourselves to something where you, and not trying to be offensive with this, but you have not committed yourself to anything, neither is
Yes, I have.
Councilman Mess.
I can sit, no, I disagree with that one, Mark.
Be open-minded.
I'm
and do the
open-minded
rest.
and I have,
Okay.
And I've affiliated and
Yeah.
I've been open-minded as well.
and
That's why I.
and I'm not
I
saying you
help,
don't. I'm
right?
not saying you don't. And I respect your decision here. I just think you're wrong,
You can.
you know, and you think
you're
I'm
allowed to
wrong,
be
and that's fine.
You're allowed to be wrong once in a while.
No, thank you, but I'm not right here. So I understand what you're saying. I disagree with that. That's all.
I like the line that Councilman Messia stated. I think that's a good line to add after it. If no party affiliation is, present for that person leaving, or whatever you want to word it, then they can appoint anybody who's meets the qualifications. Now, they could be unaffiliated, it
You're
could be Republican,
saying,
it could be
yes,
Democrat.
so it
Any,
would say
yeah, any eligible candidate.
Any eligible candidate.
So
yes.
if, we need some like legalese here, Tara.
Mhm.
If,
I'm
so provided that person is selected to said vacancy shall be the member of the same political party as person who's,
Been a minute since I drafted an ordinance.
that's okay, or he or she is elected to fill, period. If
In the
these-
event.
The vacancy is an unaffiliated seat.
If the vacancy
Party.
is an unaffiliated
Vacated.
seat.
Or was held by an unaffiliated candidate or
Oh, that's
person,
a better
or
way of saying
was-
it.
was
Was
fit-
held.
was held
was
by an
held by-
unaffiliated.
But maybe we should clarify, because if we say any eligible candidate, some council will be up here and not know what that means. Go, well, is the eligible, as if, is there a way to clarify any eligible candidate that is either part of or not part of any political party or something along those lines? So that way
What's
it's
the
not,
proper term, like unaffiliated elector, or what's the?
Independent.
Proper.
wouldn't it
No, because
No,
independent isn't a
unaffiliated.
party.
Yeah.
Unaffiliated, yeah, what,
State
I just did my
recognizes
campaign
Proper-
thing,
not an
What's the
unaffiliated.
proper
Yeah, I
term?
actually it still says candidate on there. Hold on.
It's gonna come out, stand by. It's gonna burst.
In the event. Okay, so I have in the event the seat vacated was held by or in the event the individual who held the seat that was vacated was unaffiliated. Affiliated.
In the event-
Council, hold on, may point. What did you say, Jay?
Qualified elected.
yes.
Most.
The event that the seat was held by an unaffiliated voter,
Not voter.
well, they have to be a voter. They have to be an eligible voter
Unaffiliated
in order to hold the seat.
was
Unaffiliated member might be better.
affiliated with either party. The council may appoint most qualified individual
Eligible.
eligible.
They gotta be in the same ward.
Eligible,
I would even make it for dummies for me
okay.
and say, i.e. unaffiliated Republican or Democrat.
Yeah.
I
like
that too,
Just
just
so there's no,
That's what Jay was saying.
Yeah,
It was
just-
yeah, that way
there's
you don't have a
no-
council 10 years from now and they're like, wait, what happened? When Dave's still here and we're all gone, Dave's.
Maybe if we say must be filled by an eligible voter, can be filled by an eligible voter of any party.
They're not
But then it
party.
puts it back to party. People say, oh, can't do unaffiliated. Because unaffiliated is not a party, so we can only do it for Republican,
Well,
Democrat.
any party, whether affiliated or not, or some, you gotta get unaffiliated in there somehow.
I think
'Cause if
that's
you just
kind
say
of just
party,
We want to protect our Jays.
I don't even know if you guys have to spell that out that much, because I think that it would just.
our Ds and Js.
Our our DJs.
Yeah, there you go. We do all agree that that last sentence that we just strike, is that correct?
If the vacancy occurs 2 or more years, that one.
Yes, because that's a moot point. Can't happen. It's impossible to happen.
We just need to agree on a new last sentence.
Eligible.
Right. And we agree that the first sentence is good, correct?
I think I have something.
Do share.
Okay. In the event the seat vacated was held by an individual unaffiliated with either political party, the council may appoint and the eligible individual who is a member, who is either a Democrat, Republican, or
Said party.
unaffiliated,
Or unaffiliated.
or unaffiliated.
I prefer to start with unaffiliated. Honestly, just because that's the focus of this. My opinion, just.
So the unaffiliated person, if, all right, so the U resigns, anybody can take this, anybody can take the
Yes.
seat.
Right.
A D or an R resign, that U cannot take the seat.
Correct.
Neither can it, neither can the R if it's a D. I mean, it's not just the U's that are being,
Discriminate.
The R can't take the D, is that what you just said?
D can't take the R, the R can't take the D. You can,
So the two parties are always represented, can always be represented.
oh, you know
but
what?
the U can't.
I mean, if we're gonna go to.
Well, I'm playing devil's advocate.
Right, but if
because-
we're gonna do all the different scenarios, what if we have 5 U's up here? You know what I mean?
Okay.
You know, I mean, that's what I'm saying. We can
That's
go
what I'm saying.
scenario
Anybody-
after
Anybody
scenario.
could be, anybody should be eligible, because you never know when somebody's gonna
They're all
pop up.
U's. Everyone is eligible.
Correct.
Right, but if they're
If they're
not,
all R's,
then only ours are eligible.
But Coventry just doesn't acknowledge
So that's not,
partisan, so they
There's a
just is
lot of
not.
towns
so-
that are moving to nonpartisan at the council.
Makes it
level.
so how
Yeah.
about, so
But
why couldn't we
It doesn't
say,
work.
so if we're thinking about changing it, and I'm not sure we want to do that this time, but if we were thinking about changing, why can't we say the appointment shall not recognize or consider any political party?
Just take it out.
Or point blank say that appointment shall not be dependent, I
Just
mean,
take it
that's
out.
not,
Take it out.
you're not
Yeah,
having
Just,
to
you
do that.
could just remove it.
No,
No.
You would just remove the
Republicans
language.
already at this point still have a very small representation in this town. And if we, like, say something happens to me and now they're gonna appoint and they appoint another Democrat. No offense, because I again, at this point, agree with Al that it's not so much of an issue right now,
yeah,
but in
Could be.
20 years,
Yeah.
it could be, and it could be the flip side. You know, so to me, I think party is party. If the party, the country's gonna stay with a party
Let me ask you
system.
guys a question. I want to throw a wrench at this.
Oh, boy.
Oh, my.
I mean, we have we have registered Democrats who run as independents
Mhm.
and they're able to do so. So,
No, they can't.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can.
so
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can.
you can.
you have registered Republicans who could run as independents if they want.
You could run the next, as a Republican, you could run the next election, you could run
Oh,
as.
yeah,
a-
no, all right. I thought, because you're saying that they're already registered.
But for the,
so,
but for the
yeah.
appointment,
They can
for the appointment,
they
Sarah
can
said, you have,
declassify themselves,
Sarah said
yeah.
you have to have been,
90 days.
yeah, 90 days. So I think that,
Hold on, I'm trying to understand the question. You guys in your seats, even though you're affiliated,
Or
I'm sorry,
any political.
Speaking to
party,
these three,
political
they
party,
could run as an
no,
independent.
but we're saying like, let's say,
Wouldn't have to change.
let's
their
say David
affiliation.
steps down tomorrow
Yeah.
and we need to fill a spot. Somebody that's already a registered Democrat, they can't just say, like, they can't, somebody that's a Republican can't go, well, now I'm gonna be, or somebody unaffiliated can't go, well, now I'm gonna be a Democrat, so I can be appointed to David's seat, because there needs to be the 90
But
days,
vice
right?
versa. What throws me off is they can say they're, as a registered Republican or Democrat, they can say they're independent is basically unaffiliated.
yeah, but is that two different things, independent and unaffiliated?
Independent isn't recognized at all anymore.
I think it's more of not a D or an R.
Yeah,
You
okay,
know,
but
that's what I think this.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying is an individual,
Period.
let's just say, Mark, you ran as an independent,
Office shall.
but you're a registered Republican. Now Jay's seat comes available and you ran against Jay. I'm just throwing this out there. You ran for Ward 4. You come before the council and say, I want to be the next person. But you ran as an independent, but you're a registered Republican. Can we appoint you?
No, because it's how we
I just wanna
register.
How you
Confirm.
registered, right? It's how you registered.
It's how you register, not how you run.
I'm just throwing that out
I
there because
I
wacky
didn't even
things have
think,
happened.
I didn't even think you could do that. I thought if you're registered to a party, when you run, you have to run as that party.
No, because in the past, there's been council people who want to avoid, or a person who runs for office wants to avoid that primary. So they run as an independent, and independents don't have primaries.
Right.
So,
No, I didn't even know you could do that. So you're telling me as a registered Republican, I could run as a Democrat if I wanted to?
no, as
No,
independent.
Independent, as an independent.
Okay.
Only.
Well, as unaffiliated.
Gotcha. I thought you had to go with what you're registered as.
No.
No.
That was a question that was
You
brought
couldn't,
up
you
last
couldn't,
election.
you couldn't run, you couldn't as a Republican run as a Democrat, but you could run just unaffiliated.
Yes, which is weird.
And I believe,
Really weird.
and what about as unaffiliated, can you run as one of the other parties for, you can't do that, right? To go the other way too. So you could be unaffiliated, but
You
then,
have to register.
then you register at that point, right?
Yes,
Okay.
that would
And
automatically, right.
then if you did it that day, you'd be out of the luck because you had to do it. 90
Because
days.
unaffiliated, when they come in during the primaries to vote, they can pick
Choose
a
either
party.
one, right? Yeah.
Right.
That's
which is
different
why
as
most
a voter,
people-
as you can do that, yeah, that's
Right,
different.
why
Yeah.
most people stay unaffiliated is because
So they can go either way when they.
they can choose to vote in either primary.
Any eligible.
Okay, so where are we?
Wait on Tara's.
We like sentence
Craftsmanship.
one
Yeah, sentence one, I think is good.
of the next general election shall be filled by the council until the next general election, when the office shall be filled for the expired term thereof, which seems awkward to me, but provided that the person selected to said vacancy shall be a member.
You want to have another monkey wrench thrown at this? We might have to wait for this one till after, until 2 years. Because the other monkey wrench is what Sarah brought up on all the different ways of electing now. Let's say the vacancy happens like right now in August of this year. Something happens to somebody, and the vacancy happens. That's not enough time to get them onto the general election for this one. So what do you do with that time frame?
You mean, so like,
And I think that might be why that other language is there.
So you can't do this one, so you have to wait the 2 years for the next.
Correct.
No, if one of the three of us decided we couldn't run, there's already an election place. There would just be, it'd be the whoever's running.
It's a freebie.
Right? It's a free run.
No, because like all. Say,
You'd withdraw from the election.
I lost.
I get that, but now there's that open seat, so what do you do with that?
Whoever's running, that's the one person that's already on the
You
ballot.
You don't fulfill.
You don't fill it.
Well, all right, yeah, I
Yeah.
think I got confused a little bit here. Let's say it's me, let's say,
Okay, you, all right. all right,
let's
okay,
say,
all right.
I leave here tonight, proverbial bear truck comes, boom, I'm dead, disabled, whatever the case
Oh,
may be.
You took it to a dark, you took it to a dark place. You took it to a dark
Yeah.
place, Mark.
Glad you said you.
How about you decide to move to Florida and you just stick around Island? That sounds like a better option.
Whatever way you want to look at it, but it happens. So now we're within that time frame.
You can milk it till November, then wait till one day after, and that's the 2 years, less than 2 years.
And you have a special election right after that?
I don't know, that's why I think maybe we should just wait on these
maybe leave it alone.
until 2024. But make sure that it gets done because,
Or do it in 2020. Oh, we can't. Yeah, that's right.
No, I just said, just make sure nothing happens between now and November, and you're good.
I just think
Maybe
that,
we could,
poor Tara's over there writing like
I got
crazy.
it.
You got it?
I actually
got
think,
Okay.
we should do it now, because you're always gonna have that same thing 2 years
Every
from now
2
too.
years.
You're still gonna
Because it could
have
do
that
it with
possibility.
us, it could do us in 2
Yes,
years.
that's right.
Or whoever's up.
Well,
here.
this is all Jay's fault, because he keeps throwing out these possibilities, so I
Well,
can't.
it's true, though.
It
It's-
is.
it's true.
I'm
But
just
it
kidding.
could always happen.
Right.
So that waiting 2
We
years
just-
isn't
yeah,
gonna make a
cross that
difference.
bridge when it
That's
comes to it if
right,
it happens.
right.
All right, let's,
Okay, right? In the event the officer is unaffiliated, the council may appoint any eligible person who is either unaffiliated or a member of any major political party.
Any or either.
Could you put
Well,
recognize?
I
There's
put
two.
any
only
because
two.
in the
Well, what if
event
the
that
entry
there's
is the third
another political
Party that
party, you're
shows
not
up.
limiting yourself to just the
like
two.
Cool Moose
I would say
became one,
recognized political party.
Recognize?
yeah,
Put recognized political party.
Yeah.
Go-
because Cool
instead
Moose
of
became
major,
it because they got more than
recognize?
5% of the votes they
Gotcha.
became recognized.
Yes, but the word officer,
Well, I only used,
Office
that's
holder,
what they
maybe?
used.
so could it be incumbent? had been, what is the,
So I
so
can change it in the event the person.
in the
This just
event the
says-
prior incumbent or prior
This just
office
says,
holder, the
vacancy-
prior office holder. Yeah, officer, I don't know.
Well, because it was in there, so it would be
Either committee member or counselor in the.
a counselor
on
or
the
member,
council version.
or,
What, yeah,
yeah, you can put anything in there, the person, the councilman, the council person.
yeah, I would
I put council person.
council
We're
or
on
In this
committee.
case, it's-
They're a
Well, it's committee,
Yeah,
it's a committee.
Full committee
So
there.
be a committee
Sounds
member,
committee
in
right
the
now,
event,
it's changed.
the committee member,
Yeah, I think
because you
that's
can just
good.
put anybody in there you want.
Right. So you want to read that whole thing once more?
In the event the committee member is unaffiliated, the council may appoint any eligible, you can put person, elector, whoever you want to put in there, who is either unaffiliated or a member of any recognized political party.
qualifying.
Any qualified elector?
Is it an election?
Changing
clause?
eligible to qualified?
You would say qualified, right? Or would you say eligible?
Either one is, I said qualified, but it's
How
the
about
same.
eligible and you can
Qualified,
put
yeah.
both?
Yeah,
Covers you.
yeah. It's fine.
Eligible. And qualified, yeah. Okay,
There was a word that wasn't. Once more, Tara, the very first part of it again, sorry.
all right. I have so many crosses out, I have to write it again. Okay, in the event the committee member is unaffiliated, the council may appoint any eligible, any person who is,
Okay, that's the part. Is the committee member is it was, is it?
Was.
well,
Is, it's
is
fine.
because they are unaffiliated, it is
No, If
unaffiliated.
the committee member.
If
they're
they're
no
going
longer-
there was.
Yeah, yeah,
If they-
was, I think is the thing.
Was
Not is,
unaffiliated.
yeah,
The council
I
may
think it's
appoint
was.
any
that's the thing that didn't.
qualified,
Yeah.
eligible, like elector,
That's fine. It was the was that is to was, I think. is-
who is unaffiliated or a member of any recognized political party. Good with that? I'll type it out again.
Timeless, that way if they.
That's
end up
correct.
with
Yeah.
political
Yeah.
party.
Well, this way you're not doing it again in
Well,
another
those could
year
come
if all of
back,
a sudden
but yes,
independence
that's
take
right.
over.
Yeah,
All right, I can email that to you.
We're making you work for it
I
tonight.
think I got it. In the event the committee member was unaffiliated, the council may appoint any eligible and qualified elector who is unaffiliated or a member of any recognized political party.
yeah, I think that's right. So I think sentence one stays,
Just changing
Send
town
it.
to general.
regular to general in the second sentence.
What would be the difference between eligible and qualified? Give me a scenario.
I don't know.
No, I think it's the same.
It's the
thing.
same word,
That's
so
what I
that's
said.
why I'm saying I don't think you need
Oh,
both.
no, we don't need both.
Which do you want? As the clerk, which do you want?
I would say.
I think eligible, so, you think qualified?
I say
I
qualified.
say
So why don't we leave them both? then?
Because they have to be of that ward, they have to be
Okay.
registered to
Okay.
vote, they have to be.
Eligible, I mean, I'm married, I'm not eligible to.
No, yeah, either way, I think it's semantics, that's
You're not
fine.
married and so you're eligible, but are you
Oh,
qualified?
and eligible.
There's certain things that you have to criteria.
Are you qualified?
Wait a minute,
Let's not go
yeah,
there.
I'm not going there.
You could be married and still be eligible
Yeah,
too,
no,
so.
well,
Yeah, it's 2022, anything goes
Yeah.
anymore, so, oh my
All
God.
right, want me to read it one last time?
Yeah.
The whole thing, the
Yes,
whole
please.
thing, please.
In the event the committee member was unaffiliated, the council may appoint any qualified elector who is unaffiliated or a member of any recognized political party.
Make a motion to move what Sarah just said.
Well, we have to do the whole,
The whole,
Yeah, it's
Oh,
the first
all right,
sentence.
all right,
the
well,
whole, the whole thing.
yeah, so the
Right.
first sentence we're keeping. Everybody happy with the
So-
first sentence? I think
Yeah.
it's fine.
Guys resigns, ceases to meet qualifications of membership, is recalled or convicted of a felony or a crime of moral turpitude, and has exhausted all appeals from said conviction. And then your sentence.
But I think we still have to,
Oh, that's right.
yeah, it still has to be any vacancy in the membership of the school committee which occurs less than 2 years prior to the next general election shall be filled by, and then her sentence.
By the council until the next general election.
You know what? And I think we want to say by the town council.
When the office shall be filled, and thereof, provided that person selected to fill the vacancy shall be a member of the same. Okay, so we're striking that. All right, sorry. All right, so after, I just want to make sure I understand. Any vacancy in the membership of the school committee which occurs less than 2 years prior to the next general election shall be filled by the town council, period. Is that,
No,
can we strike
isn't
the
it?
rest of? Oh, no, I'm sorry,
No,
until the next general election,
Period.
period.
Yes.
That
Correct.
should be where the
Then a
period is.
Right.
So then we would be striking the entire next 2 sentences, the rest of the paragraph.
Yep. And then put
Basically,
word,
in adding, in the event the committee member was unaffiliated, the council may
Right.
appoint any qualified elector who is unaffiliated. Yada, yada, yada. All right. so
Can I
those
ask
are
a
all
question on
strikes.
that? Just one last thing, and Tara, maybe.
Did I lose you?
Yeah, because it doesn't talk about the same political party anymore.
Oh, so that needs to stay in
Yeah,
there.
it needs to stay
right?
in there, yeah.
right.
When the office shall be filled, provided that the person selected said vacancy shall be a member of the same, that's why I didn't have it
Yeah.
struck out before.
Same political party, then your sentence after that to cover the
So
unaffiliated.
we're gonna leave all of that. Same political party as the person whose position he or she is elected to fill, period.
Yes,
Then,
yes.
okay. Got it.
Got him.
Do not strike. Okay.
Jay was kicking it.
Yeah.
Did it.
That's all right.
Do not strike.
And then 403,
Yeah, we have to vote on that.
oh, I'm sorry.
Well, do we want to hear the whole thing read out?
I'll read it one last time if you
Yeah,
guys
like.
want.
The whole thing.
The whole thing.
Okay. A vacancy shall exist in the school committee if a member dies, resigns, ceases to meet the qualification for membership, is recalled, or is convicted of a felony or a crime of moral turpitude, and has exhausted all appeals from said conviction. Any vacancy in the membership of the school committee which occurs less than 2 years prior to the next general election shall be filled by the town council until the next general election, when the office shall be filled for the unexpired term thereof, provided that person. There's 2 that's there. Typo.
All
Oh,
right.
yeah, look at that.
At that.
All right.
Candy bowl.
Scratch one
I
thing.
mean, I do stutter from time to time, but I think that's
Yeah,
it.
no.
My mind never picked up on that either.
Provided that person selected to said vacancy shall be a member of the same political party as the person whose position he or she is elected to fill, period. In the event that the committee member was unaffiliated, the council may appoint any qualified elector who is unaffiliated or a member of any recognized political party.
Yes, but I think you want to add the word filled. So when the office shall be filled for the unexpired term thereof, provided that person selected to fill said vacancy.
Hold on a second, I'm not following you.
Me either.
Where
Where are you?
are we on the language
Nope,
of that last?
language is right there.
Okay, sorry.
So it, any vacancy, blah, 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 blah. Starting with when the office shall be filled. Is it when? Is when the right word?
If.
No,
I
yeah.
think when is right. 'Cause
2
it's
years
when it
prior to the
happens.
the next general election shall be filled by the town council until the next general election.
Period.
No, it's not a period.
Didn't you have? a
Oh, it
period
is
there?
comma. We were gonna, yeah, when we were gonna strike that, we were gonna say period, but no,
Okay,
you're
that's
right. It
that's what
should
was.
be
All right, that's what it
comma.
was. All right.
So, until the
When the
next,
office shall be filled for the unexpired term thereof, which I think is a worthless sentence, to be honest with you, but, yeah, but anyway, provided that person selected to said vacancy, to fill said vacancy, to just put the word fill in,
Selected
to fill said vacancy shall be a member. That's all.
Shall be a member. Yep,
Yes.
there you go. Yep, that works.
So I make a motion that Sarah has the language.
God, you guys have a
As
lot of
read.
faith in me.
Yeah.
Oh, Tara, do you agree with that language?
Yeah.
Fine.
So there's a motion.
Second. Oh,
Motion and second. Any other discussion?
Oh, so we are striking out that
A
last,
sentence.
Yes,
Yeah.
if a vacancy occurs
Yeah.
4 more years prior to that.
Yeah.
we don't want to leave anything that says prescribed by state law.
No, because there's no special election.
Okay.
Right? It'll just be at the regular election.
Oh, yeah, right, because
Right.
that's the state
For
law
general.
specifically goes to state special election.
Yes.
All right,
Yep,
yeah, that's
yep.
fine.
All right, I have a motion second. No more discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I have to stick up for all the unaffiliated people that will be screwed in this, and I'll say no.
Next.
That's 403, right?
403.
Yeah.
Yep,
Which should be a copy and paste, just
Exactly
changing
right.
school committee to town council.
that's exactly right.
There you go. So you want to just say so moved as,
I'll make the motion to mimic the language in 1903 for 403, substituting
Sorry.
town council member or town council person for school committee. And
So you would strike the whole section and add the language.
Correct.
I would make it the exact same language, just change the word
School committee.
school committee to town councilor or town or council member or however.
I'm gonna second what she just said.
Because this talks about the 1 year, the 2 years, this and that. So we're not going to do that. We're going to just make it,
Special elections, cost of
Right.
money and
So we'll say vacancy shall exist in the
The whole
town
thing.
council if a member
Right.
dies, resigns, blah, blah, blah. Okay.
why not make
So
it,
Strike. All. 303 as amended. Okay. So then in that case, let me just read it into the record. Vacancy shall exist. It should say if a vacancy shall exist, shouldn't it?
well, no, because it says a vacancy shall exist in the school committee if a member dies, blah, blah, blah. It gives the
Okay.
reasons why.
All right, so it'll say, a vacancy shall exist in the town council if a member dies, resigns, ceases to meet the qualification of membership is involved, blah, 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 blah. Any vacancy in the membership of the town council which occurs less than 2 years prior to the next general election shall be filled by the town council until the next general election, when the office shall be filled for the unexpired term thereof, provided that person selected to fill said vacancy shall be a member of the same political party as the person whose position he or she is elected to fill. In the event that the town council member was unaffiliated, the council may appoint any qualified elector who is unaffiliated or a member of any recognized political party.
Yes, vacancy shall exist in the school committee, on the school committee? Is it?
town council in this one.
Yeah, I know, but both, we say in. Is it on?
I don't think it matters.
No?
We already approved it.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah. We're stuck on the minutia of some.
Well, but
some things.
but
You're right.
if the word's right, it's right.
Right.
Yeah.
right. I
We're
agree.
we're all getting a grammar lesson tonight, though.
Exactly, exactly.
Within.
all right, I have a motion.
Second,
There's a motion to approve the language for 403 that Sarah provided.
all right, so wait, we have a motion.
Motion,
All right, a second.
second.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm opposed.
Thank you.
Is there still one we're missing?
Nope.
Oh, that's 4.
Just the other thing that we gotta talk about. Just the weed stuff.
moving on
Yes.
to consideration of resolution authorizing a public referendum in November to opt out of state licensing of marijuana retail establishments in West.
So I'll let you go first, but
Yeah, Mark, you read what you have to
Yeah, but
read
I-
first, then we can discuss this one.
So real simply, the Rhode Island Cannabis Act passed. So the act requires municipalities to hold a public referendum to opt out of marijuana retail sales establishment on or before November 8th. If you,
Opt in, only if you want to opt out.
right, so if you don't have a referendum,
Correct.
you are acknowledging
The state law.
that it's going on
Right.
and our individual electors don't have a say.
okay, I was
So you're
confused.
basically taking it out of the hands of the people.
Correct.
You don't have a referendum. So by having a referendum,
No.
they can say yay or nay.
Right.
If we don't do that, then the state says that we've accepted it.
Right.
And they'll start potentially issuing licenses. So that's essentially what this is. So there's a resolution saying that it's the town's intent to put it on the referendum. So there's a resolution, the sample that I sent out. So we would just put it on our letterhead and insert West Warwick in the appropriate spots. We just need to approve that and then send that
Would
to
it
the
be-
state
Would it be
indicating.
confusing? And would people read it as, do you want to opt out and thinking they're voting yes to make it, to allow it?
So they gave us the suggested wording. It says actually, it's not suggested. The question as outlined in the general law must ask voters, shall new cannabis licenses for businesses involved in the cultivation, manufacture, laboratory testing, and for the retail sale of adult recreation use cannabis be issued in the town of West Warwick?
So a yes vote would say yes, we want it here. A no would say no, we do not. I just want to make sure that it's not, I'm not being confused.
Correct.
Okay, I don't mind if it's worded like that. I mean, I honestly.
So they're giving us the language. They're giving us the language for the referendum. The League of Cities and Towns gave us a sample resolution that we can pass because we need to submit that to the state or the Department of Administration. So they are aware that we are actually going to hold the referendum and not just assume that we're opting in by lack of action.
Now, do you think, and you might not be able to answer this, do you think by us putting it on the ballot as opposed to just as approving it now may hurt some chances of some businesses in town that may be looking to do it and it's going to be so quick afterwards and now they're going to be behind the ball and we may not be able to get
Well, they're not issuing licenses
until,
until December.
that's when they'll issue them.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
However, we already have a grow place here in the
Yes.
town.
Correct. More than one, more than one.
Correct. So,
So
That means-
different,
This is
different rule.
no, it's not. You
Yes,
say
no.
cultivation. It says cultivation. It says cultivation.
Well, the difference is they can have a shop, they can have a shop and you can just go buy it when you leave here and you stop at the liquor store and you can go stop
And
and.
and this is what, so I've been really beating myself back and forth with this one because ultimately there's a revenue generating system here.
3%.
3% from
for the
every retail
community.
sale. I mean, it's a no brainer. I,
Wait a minute, hold on, and if Coventry and Warwick decide and Cranston decide, hey, we're not opting out. Well, all our residents here can go into another community and give them the 3% besides the town, 3%. And then when we talk about, this is a multi-million / in some areas, $billion companies. 3% of multi-million dollars is a lot of revenue generating money. Now, doesn't mean I'm for or against. It's more of, do I want to pass it on to other communities?
Absolutely not.
And, and by putting this on the ballot, just like a casino, back in 2006, everybody was hoping for revenue generating money to come in and all the promises for the casino, whether a casino was good or bad for the community. We were talking about the revenue and taxes not going up and so on and so forth. In the end, it was in the voters' hands and they voted it down. Rhode Island was dead set against a casino. They had their groups here saying, we don't want a casino. And then right after
Then
ours got
they
voted
opened-
down, they opened up theirs in Lincoln. They had an agenda.
course they did.
So they took the money away from West Warwick and put it towards the state of Rhode Island. And let me ask how that's going for the state, by the way. So West Warwick.
Whether it was in West Warwick or not.
No, I don't disagree, but West Warwick would still be getting something.
Yeah,
Versus
heartache,
we're not getting nothing.
aggravation, and we already can't staff our police department.
I understand that, but 2006 we could, 2022 we can't.
Okay, right, but we would have more officers on our staff already that we couldn't refill when they retire. Because
You know, but I'm just
casinos bring
saying-
crime, just like these marijuana places are gonna bring crime. And
Well, I don't know. I mean, do you,
it's gone- it-
we have a liquor store here. Does the liquor store necessarily bring more crime? I mean, I don't know.
I will tell you,
Marijuana and alcohol, okay, as far as everything goes, there's still a lot of home invasions that just don't ever make the news for some reason because people cultivating marijuana.
Okay, so that's a separate thing.
No, it's not a separate thing. It's all the same thing. And we still have the criminal element that's still selling their marijuana on the streets that are still gonna keep doing
No, you
it.
understand, so that's, but I'm saying that's a separate thing, that's like saying, like, somebody has an illegal brewing operation at the house and they were selling, bootlegging alcohol, you can still go legally buy it, I think, I mean, at this point, and we can debate back and forth whether we think people are doing it, it's legal, they can go get it right now and it's gonna exist in the state, so does it make a big difference if it's in Coventry and they're gonna make the money, or it's gonna be in West Warwick?
Yeah, it's called a moral stance.
Okay, so that's your personal opinion as opposed to whether it's.
Well, if you only look at it from finances,
I don't think
if
there's
you're
any-
only gonna think about money and not the
No,
damage
I'm
that's
not-
being done to
no.
the children, that's a
Mark,
different story.
listen, I've taken all that in consideration and trust me, I'm not a fan of a lot of different drugs, okay? But with the state legalizing this drug, okay,
Which is still not legal federally.
federally, but in the state, Massachusetts has done it, Connecticut has done it. I've been to other states that have done it, okay? With the state tying our hands and legalizing it. Because again, let's face it, people are leaving Rhode Island and going to Massachusetts, right over the line to
They already are
Attleboro, at the golf course, buying their gummies, buying whatever.
The golf course, you know that, you've been there.
It's behind the golf course, and yes, I had to pick up a friend or a relative there once,
And to
because their truck broke down.
and even as right now, I mean, well, you two gentlemen would know more than I would. You could walk down the street now and it's technically legal.
And it's aggravating and it's wrong. Okay, just because something's made legal by people who just want to make money doesn't make it right.
I mean, we could go down the road.
Okay.
There's a lot of things there's a lot of things, if we could go down that road of
Yeah,
whether.
You're right,
yeah.
but see, we keep going down this path of going the wrong way. We'll move this way. a
We
little
went
bit,
back 100 years ago, alcohol was illegal too.
All right, and how much damage has alcohol done
It's
in the last 100 years?
probably worse than cannabis.
Okay, so, but we're gonna add on top of the alcohol, because alcohol is not gonna go away.
Of course
We're
not.
gonna add on top of it with cannabis. And we're adding on top of it, let me finish.
Okay.
We're adding on top of it with the major drugs too, because I don't know if you know this, but it's now just a misdemeanor if you possess cocaine, crack, heroin, you name it. It's a misdemeanor if you only have a certain amount rather than a felony, okay? So we have all these overdoses everywhere. We're about to get some money for all these overdoses, but yet we're telling our children it's okay to smoke weed.
I don't think
We're telling our
anybody, I
children-
don't think these overdoses are necessarily cannabis. I think that's a
No,
little bit of a stretch.
But no, it's not, because cannabis or marijuana is a stepping stone drug. Now, not saying that everybody who uses it is going to step up, but I'm saying as a cop for 22 years, somebody who's arrested a lot of people for those heavier drugs,
Yeah.
especially heroin, I asked them, why did you even move up to this? Majority of the people would answer, I needed a better high. I started with alcohol or marijuana and I needed a better high. So we're just we're providing this situation to start getting highs,
So,
and it's legal, therefore accepted, and then they move up to the others.
More of letting
Hold on, I
consenting
just-
adults
Mark,
make
I-
their own decisions.
I-
That's,
I agree with some of that, okay? But you gotta look at it on the other aspect of it. And I've asked people I know who smoke pot and have cards, medical marijuana cards or whatever. You know what they say to me? At least I know I'm buying safe marijuana and it's not laced with fentanyl off the street, like you just said, the criminals, right? And killing my
What is-
friends and my family. So ultimately, they say,
Harm reduction is what they
when,
call it. in the
when
mental
you're
health
buying
industry.
it legally, they know it's not being laced.
They know.
I've asked police officers, tell me what smoking and driving, it's tough to detect.
There's all
Well,
kinds of
I've also
different
asked, tell me the difference between alcohol and marijuana. They said, well, we normally don't go to domestic violences for marijuana. We do for alcohol. That was something that was brought, because
I-
trust me, this has been bouncing off the wall
I-
for
I
a
don't
week
disagree
me.
with any of
And
that.
I've been asking
But
the
my
question.
point is, why are we adding? Why are we going to purposely as a society add yet another vice to people?
I think we're way behind the times, and this should have happened a long time ago, honestly. I mean, that's my opinion, and I try, and as a police officer, you have a different view, so I totally
Do you like
appreciate
to
your
read?
opinion. Do I like to read?
Yes.
Sometimes.
Okay, there's a book, Tell Your Children the Truth About Marijuana. Fully, highly suggest anybody who might be listening to this to buy that book and read it, or get it from the library if the libraries happen to have it, whatever. Find it online, whatever. But it's a great book because it tells you all the stuff that the people who are pushing this won't tell you. Have you noticed there's a lot more schizophrenia lately over the last 20 years? Marijuana causes schizophrenia in some people. Okay, it increases the probability you're going to become schizophrenic.
I don't know anything about it, so I'm not even debating. I don't.
I'm telling you, read that book. There's a lot more damage that's being done by marijuana than what they're putting out there. Okay, this isn't the marijuana of Cheech and Chong. Okay,
Definitely
the
different.
THC levels are so much higher now and cause so much more damage that I don't care if you're buying it legally, so there's no lacing of it, or illegally, the THC levels are still that much higher. My question, and I've asked numerous people this, people I pull over who have children, do you want your child smoking marijuana when they get older? Immediately, all but 5 of them, and I've asked hundreds, all but 5 said absolutely not. And I say, why? Because I know what it does to me. I know what it has done to me. So they recognize that it's doing something for them. And again, it's a stepping stone drug. Again, not everybody who smokes marijuana is going to move up the ladder, but the people who move up the ladder usually start with alcohol, and I do have the alcohol there, and or marijuana.
And I'm one, I do not smoke cannabis and marijuana. I do drink, and I think that drinking is probably worse for you. I think as adults, there's certain times where,
So
and we can draw the line of where we think they should allow to do. I think as adults, there's certain things that we should be able to make our choices as an adult and make our, and again, do I want my son as a teenager to smoke or drink? Of course I don't. As an adult, our children get to make their own decisions and choices of what they want to do. And again, going down the moral, that's a different debate. I'm talking about as an elected official legally.
I'll be honest, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but smoke shop that was in here a few weeks ago got a license on LaGris. I'll be honest, I don't want it there, but it's there.
Right, and I agree. I don't want that
Like
either.
cigarettes.
Because-
I'm
because-
against smoking, but I think an adult should have a choice to, if they want to smoke. And I hate cigarettes. I would.
And I agree with you on all that.
But we
That's
had no
why-
way to stop it either, because if you denied them a license for a legal business, they probably could go to court, overrule us, and the courts will award them their license. So that's why I didn't vote against it. And I was sitting here for years with the students from West Warwick High School, saying, let's get the smoking age to 21. Let's get it away from, because kids are 18 at the high school buying it for 17-year-olds. Let's get the vapes away from, so I supported 21. I supported all that.
Hidden candy
I have a
supply over
tough
there.
time right now that Warwick, Coventry, Cranston, and whoever else abuts us, you're gonna be able to drive right over the border. Like, even, there was an ordinance in place, and I think it's still in place, because it's been brought to my attention, where tobacco carriers here in West Warwick cannot accept coupons. But they can go over to Coventry and save $3 on a pack of, a carton of cigarettes. But they can't go to this Shell station here in Arctic to save $3 on cigarettes. Now, they make the choice to smoke everything. They're over the age of 21, but they have to drive out of town to save $3. That's crazy. Like, I just, and again, I just hate to see another town get the money.
But we're all in agreement that adults should be making this decision, correct? So we should be voting to make sure that this is on the ballot so the adults of this town can make the decision whether or not this is here. Because if we don't vote that way, then it automatically comes here and we're taking away their decision to make that for their town. Because I'll tell you what, I don't want in my backyard Yes, I'll be a NIMBY. And I guarantee you, majority of the people in this town are gonna be NIMBYs. I don't know if you want it in your backyard, or you, you know, but I don't want it in mine. I can't stand it. It was on the radio this morning. People are complaining because now they go to the beach, all they can smell is weed. Majority of the people still hate weed. They can't stand the smell of weed. But if we don't put it on the ballot for the people of the town to make a decision, we're gonna force it on them. And we're gonna say money's the reason. We don't care about you, we only care about
Just
money.
so,
No, one other thing, and back to what I was saying about the damage from marijuana, it's right in what Mark sent us. Additionally, Rhode Island Cannabis Act establishes a marijuana trust fund which would fund the following: substance use disorder prevention for adults in substance use disorder. It creates a disorder. So yeah, let's do that to our children. Education and public awareness campaigns, treatment and recovery services. Treatment, you need to be treated for it. Okay, that's really good for our public health monitoring, research, data collection, surveillance, law enforcement officer training and technology improvements, including grants to local law enforcement agencies. It's increasing our law
Craig,
enforcement.
those things you're reading were, that's where some of the funds from the
That's part of
tax,
the act.
okay.
That's part of the act that's already in place.
Okay.
That
So-
is going to be in place in December.
But they're
or whatever,
recognizing the fact that marijuana has these negative effects to a point where they're gonna take part of the money they're gonna get and put it toward that.
So I disagree with you, but I agree with, you're right. I said, let the people decide. So maybe we should let the people decide. Can you clarify, we had this conversation earlier today. It's broken down into zones, right? So different, maybe if you give a little more information about how they're going to be determining where they're going to go.
Well, the zones is just by West Warwick, Coventry, Cranston, not so much within the community.
No. So let's say, we're zone.
Right, so the Cannabis Control Commission is going to authorize 4 retail licenses per geographic zone, not to exceed 24 retail license total in the state.
And we're tied in with.
We're in zone 3, which we are with Coventry, Foster, Situate, and West Greenwich.
And and Coventry, I believe, doesn't even allow the grows. So I would assume that they probably also would not, unless they put it to their, I don't know, their process, if it's going to their ballot, but. I mean, I'm in favor of having one here. I don't know, I guess me and Mark talked enough, maybe the 3 others, Jason hasn't chimed in on Mary Beth.
You know, and here's my thing, if you walk into any one of these local smoke shops, they have all this cannabis type of candy already in place. So I'm not sure what more of an addition this would be. And then again, it doesn't
People that have
even,
cards already that are, yeah.
well, it doesn't even, no, I can walk in any one of these smoke shops and they have little taffies on the counter. They have all this other stuff that you can buy. And, you know,
Those are,
CB
yeah, that's a
CBD.
little-
CBD is different than THC.
But
Some of it, depending on how,
has the same effect.
depending on,
Might not be addictive, but it has,
It's completely different.
disagree.
some of the CBD has a higher grade where you can't, some of them will say you're allowed to have this if you're a truck driver, some don't.
Some are saying it's good for pain, whatever it may be. But again, I've been going back and forth with this and, you know,
I'm in favor, but if we want to leave it up to the people, I don't think that that's a bad thing to let the people make their decision.
And I'm right there with you. I'm not in favor of it. And if the people in the West Warwick decide that it's gonna come in, I gotta live with that.
And I'm in
But
favor,
I
and if
think
the
it should
people
be
decide
a
that they,
decision of the people of West Warwick.
Yeah, I disagree. I think
Which one of us?
I don't think we should opt out.
oh, I agree, I'm on the same page as you.
Well, I don't think we should opt out. I don't think we should even, if people, and I know you say finances and that's bad, but 3% could lessen our tax burden for the average taxpayer a great deal. And we talk about giving all sorts of, tax breaks to different groups. We have a grow here. It does talk about cultivating. We already have that present. I think it gives people, it's legal.
Would this affect, if this is for some reason put on the ballot and it's voted down, would this affect our current grows?
Well, first, you don't have, my interpretation is you don't have a vote to opt out. If you do nothing tonight with this, you're automatically opting in.
Exactly.
The referendum allows the voters to shoes. And this is focusing on retail sales. The legalization of marijuana happened. It happened when the governor signed it.
Right, and that's why, to me.
This
we
is
should
strictly
give the
retail
people of the
sales,
town
which is,
The voice
which
to
is
whether or not they
deferred
want it
until
in their
December.
backyard.
and obviously you'll have the opportunity between now and then to address some other ordinances
Absolutely. We
on
can as a
certain
town do that
lifestyle
without
choices,
opting out.
health, safety, and
That's
well-being of our citizens and visitors on how we want to adequately control and protect.
I would not, again, the state did pass the law. It's legal. People can go to Coventry if, assuming everyone doesn't opt out. I know that Barrington, I think, is opting out. I think I heard that, and maybe another community.
Yeah, the article today said tonight Coventry, West Warwick, and Woonsocket are deciding this tonight. The ones that have already approved it to go on their ballot as of this morning are Barrington, Bristol, Charleston, Cumberland, East Greenwich, Hopkinton, North Kingston, Situate, Tiverton, Warren, and West Greenwich. And then obviously others are scheduled between now and December 10th in order to get the
August.
Well, no,
resolution.
It has to be
August 10th, rather,
Yeah.
sorry. Wishing time away.
Don't do that. Yeah.
So essentially, I would suspect that a vast majority are going to put it before their electorate. And if they do, it might just be they ran out of time.
Would we have a say in where this goes? Is that?
Well, I mean, you have different zoning and ordinances and there are rules built into there are some rules built into this legislation as far as so many feet from.
But I think you're asking, like, where, like.
I don't want it.
We're not.
I won't have to say if it goes across the street from my house.
No, but I don't, no, but
I'm
I'm saying, I don't think the council will have a say of, oh, no, we don't want it at right, let's say Rite Aid was a.
I disagree. I think we can put in and.
No, I don't think we do. I don't think we do from what Mark told me.
I think we have the ability, even if we don't do anything and it becomes legal, I think we have the ability as a council to put in local laws
Right,
and zoning,
okay.
zoning
Okay.
ordinances to restrict maybe where they go. I believe. I mean,
can
I
tell
do
you
not.
honestly, I've had two building owners, one on Washington Street and one on Main Street, way up on Washington, more towards the Coventry line, and right here on Main Street, ask, are we going to support this because they're looking to get licenses or they're bought in. And I know some individuals, like, I had an individual at my house doing my kitchen, and I guess he's one of the licenses that he got awarded one of the licenses. And
Oh, they've already
Not
awarded some.
these, no,
No, but
there were earlier.
there was some earlier
yes.
licenses,
There was a.
and he was talking about it with me. But he's not a West Warwick resident. He was just talking to me, and he's looking at Northern Rhode Island, I guess, where he's going or whatever he's doing. And we were just talking about it in general. And I asked him these questions about this, and because if you go talk to the people who are growing this or whatever, and ask them their opinions, and then you ask your constituents, and you're right, Mark, everybody has a difference of opinion on this. You know, personally, and I'm not a fan of marijuana. I can't stand the smell of it. But, you know, I go to Massachusetts, I go to Rentham, you're walking through to go shopping because it's all outdoors. That's all you smell.
It's disgusting.
Walked down the streets of Vegas last summer when I was down there. Vegas is
I heard.
So let's make our town, smell like that all
But
the time
Mark,
too. so.
the thing is, whether they can
But
buy
it's
it
still
here or
gonna
not,
be.
they're still gonna
Even
be
if they can't
smoking.
buy it,
it.
they're
But
gonna
we're
smoke it
promoting
here.
it. But
They
if we
can smoke
promote
it here. It's
it,
gonna
okay,
happen anyway.
But why promote it? Why promote it?
Why turn down 3%? I'm sorry, and I hate to
Because
say that.
my grandchildren are more important than money to me. I
Your
have 5 grandchildren that are growing up in this town, and I want them to be free
You
and
can
away
lower your
from.
voice, Mark.
I can speak
You
the way I
can-
want to, Mary Beth.
Yeah.
I want my grandchildren to be safe. Marijuana, it brings unsafe acts, okay? And it is a stepping stone to other drugs which create more unsafe acts. I would not want it in my backyard, and I think the people of this town should have that decision. If they choose to have it in this town, then I live with the results of that. That's fine, but they should have the choice. We should put it on the ballot.
But the reality is, the person that lives in your backyard goes to Coventry or goes to Cranston, buys it and smokes it in your backyard anyway.
Okay,
So it's
So-
gonna happen, your grandchildren are gonna be
You're
exposed
assuming
anyway.
that Coventry's gonna pass it. You're assuming West Greenwich is gonna pass it. You're assuming these things. I'm hoping that all these towns say, no, right there. Providence will be the only one because Providence doesn't care about anything.
I think that's a generalization.
That may be a generalization, but it's the way I feel.
Well,
I'm not gonna, I put it before the town, the voters of this town. Let's trust our voters. If they choose to put it in, they put it in. If they choose not to put it in, they don't choose not to put it in. Let's give it to our responsible voters of West Warwick.
So that's what the vote is right now.
Right.
right,
For
yes.
us.
So whether we.
If we do nothing,
Right.
it's automatically passed. If
We do nothing.
So-
We
so
have
take
to-
no action right now, then it could show up here, right?
Right. So the two things I'm asking for
Yes.
tonight is first, the sample resolution that I sent out, that we approve that resolution with the edits of inserting
West Warwick.
town of West Warwick, where the municipality says, which essentially is acknowledging that we're going to put it on the referendum. And then the second thing I'm asking for is to approve the state's language for the referendum, so we can add it to,
Voting yes tonight says we want to send it to the voters.
correct.
Yes.
So whether it needs to be 2 votes, approval of the resolution,
We don't need the second one if it's.
and then,
File the resolution.
Yeah.
So,
and then approve the wording.
so if we voted, all right, so we voted yes, then that goes on the ballot, people get to decide.
Correct.
If we vote no,
You don't have to vote, no.
We don't have to
do
vote, it's
anything.
automatically,
You
we could have it here.
Don't-
A voting no now means that we'll honor whatever the state's guidelines are and it can come here. So
okay.
So the
I
other
get it.
issue, we've talked about a lot about voter turnout. We talked about that earlier tonight. So I disagree that it would be all the members that live here in West Warwick making that decision. It's only a small group typically that shows up. So that's a concern of mine too.
Well, I'd rather have a small group than no group.
Well,
Small group is better than no group. We're taking away, by not putting it on this ballot, we're taking away all people's right to vote on this. It's their community. It's not our community. It's their community. They should have the right to vote on this. I say yes, put it on the ballot.
Do we need a motion to do this? Do we have a
Motion to
put it-
approve the resolution with the amendments.
States- Put
which,
it on the
which
ballot.
resolution though? Because you said
Well, the first
several.
one has to be first.
Right, it was a sample one.
Because we don't need the verbiage. If the first one is a no, we don't need the verbiage. It's a moot point.
Do you know if every community is using this one or if they've come up with
I think you
different
said they
ones?
have to, right?
They've essentially used this one.
Yeah,
The-
that's
the-
kind of what I
the-
figured.
The ones that I've spoken to or been on Zooms with, they've
Do you,
used this one.
do you know if any of the other zone, whatever zone we're in, have had this come up at their meetings and what the vote was?
You just said three Coventry, one
Coventry,
socket.
Woonsocket, and us are discussing it tonight. The other ones I read have already voted to put it on the referendum.
No. It's off.
They all voted to put it on, to put it to the vote.
Correct.
So do we have a motion? What do we have on the
We have
table?
nothing right now. We just
Nothing,
have
nothing
discussion.
yet, just discussion.
All right. I'll speak. Mine's very simple. I don't think we should take it away from the people. I don't like pot. I don't like the smell of pot. It makes me sick. It makes me sick to my stomach. Whether somebody has it, whether it's legal or not, I'm still gonna have that smell. But I don't wanna, and I'm one person in the town of West Warwick, and I'm encouraging people to come out and vote, either yes or no, but come out and vote. And I don't wanna take it out of their hands. I don't think that's right. So that's where I stand.
Do we need a motion to vote or you can just take a roll call at this point? right?
So
I understand your point, and I understand your point. But and listen,
I do too. I
I,
understand the points, but
Yeah.
you know, but
No,
I don't think it's
like I
our,
said, I
this
think
is
over
not
back
our,
and forth.
I don't feel this is our decision to make as the 5 of us. I think it should be out to the people.
and that's why I'm actually a little upset with the state legislature if they even did it this way. They should have just said, everybody has to have it on their ballot for their local community in this coming November general election. That's what they should have done.
Well,
But instead they throw it out there. So certain communities could just say, yeah, we'll just squeeze it in and you know, we don't, the heck with our voting public.
just one question on this, Tara, and off these referendum items.
Sarah.
Sarah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wait a minute. yeah.
I got a bunch of errors
You were
here.
looking at her and then
I know, that's
you
a-
said Tara, and I'm like, wait a minute,
Do
yes.
you have the
Smoking earlier.
authority to put these in order on the ballot certain ways, because let's just put it this way, if they're reading or not reading, I just don't want a yes, a
I think
yes.
This should be
you guys wanted-
first.
I guess if you, yeah.
That's what I mean.
you guys
Should be first,
can't
yeah.
Specify if you want this question first.
Well, I thought it always went state questions first. Oh, this one wouldn't be a state question. Yeah, it'd be a town question.
We can
Sorry.
definitely pick the order.
Who's we?
The town can pick the order.
Well,
Is it we? Is it the board of canvases? Who is it?
You guys.
Okay, I just want
recommend
to,
the order,
I
the
just don't
order,
know.
yeah.
Well, I think
We
it's
can
separate,
recommend the order, but can the board of canvas over? Oh, sorry, Jack.
it's separate
I
from the
don't know.
charter
I would
questions.
have to,
Yeah,
It's
but
not a
gonna
charter
be- it's
question.
going- But it's going to be in order, like, they're gonna just be,
So shouldn't it
it's our
be,
local question.
you're gonna see West Warwick questions, right? And it's
Right.
gonna say this, then it's gonna say
Right.
this, it's not gonna say charter, marijuana.
but why can't it? Why can't it say, like, this be separated just by spaces? And then have questions regarding the charter? Because
It
this
will.
isn't a question regarding the charter. So it is
I think that
Have
separate.
charter
We'll have-
questions be one thing with an A, B, C, D, E?
Either way, we'll know, hey, vote,
No, I-
either way, we'll know, hey, vote yes or no on question.
So each charter
Right.
item is a
8.
separate.
That way we
one.
know if you want to encourage your supporters to vote whatever way you decide, you can say
But you can
Vote-
still label it 1, 2, 3, 4.
Question
Oh, yeah,
regarding
it
the
will
charter.
be.
And
question
this won't be
420.
part of that 1, 2, 3, 4.
I think it will. It'll be local question 1, local question 2, local question 3, local
All
question
right.
4, local question 5.
Not that I'm not listening to you, I just didn't,
He said question 420. It is getting late and we are banging our heads off the desk.
all right, let's bring it to a vote.
The motion.
motion?
Make a motion to vote on the question at hand, the,
Approve. It would be either
The
approve or
motion
deny
to
the
put
resolution.
this item on the
ballot,
ballot in
yes.
November.
And approve the resolution.
a second.
Well, that would be a
You gotta
second
wait
vote,
until you
right?
say, if
You
it's
don't
a
have
no,
to.
you don't have to approve the resolution, right?
So I need a motion to put this on the ballot.
Make,
I'll make the motion to
Oh,
put
wait
it,
a minute, wait a minute.
I think you need to either make a motion to either approve or deny the resolution.
I'm,
And if that passes, then you need.
all right, then we'll go to the second. I make a motion to
Language.
approve the first resolution, which would,
But wait a minute, hold on.
Yeah.
I think you're doing it backwards.
No.
Because if we vote no, that we don't want it on the ballot,
You
then we
don't
don't
have
have
a
to vote on the
resolution.
resolution.
You're doing
Yes,
it
that's what I'm
with the
doing.
resolution.
Right, so the resolution has it. I can read it.
So
It's-
which resolution are you, because as I said,
I don't-
It
there's,
says
there's,
sample resolution. It
there's
was,
Lowell,
I think
there's,
I've sent it twice.
no, but I'm making a motion to give it to the voters, not the verbiage. The second one will be I approve or disapprove the verbiage for that,
I
correct?
got Lowell, I got,
By passing the
Oh, I have it
resolution.
passing the resolution.
I make a motion to pass the resolution, which would bring it to the voters, and then the next one will be I make a motion
Accepting the state's
accepting the
language.
verbiage of said resolution. Okay,
Yeah.
No,
And then
no.
if you-
that's
No,
exactly
yeah,
that.
then when you
Verbiage
scroll
of the
down.
ballot
it's down.
question, not the resolution.
I make a motion
as
to
part of
approve
that.
the resolution,
Wow.
which would enable the voters to make their choice whether they want.
Are you guys listening?
No,
no, it's.
Sorry, no.
I'm making- I'm making a motion
Time.
to approve the resolution, enabling the voters to make their choice.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Let's do a roll call.
All in favor?
Aye.
I, wait,
Opposed?
I had to send it to the voters, correct?
Yes.
Aye, send it to the voters. Let them make a
Ayes,
decision.
Unanimous?
Yes.
All right,
All right.
after all that.
Now, the second one, you're approving the language for the referendum, which
Somebody
is
make
the
that motion.
state has already said the language. It's brief. I'll read it again if you like. But the verbiage must ask the voters, shall new cannabis license for businesses involved in the cultivation, manufacture, laboratory testing, and for the retail sale of adult recreation use cannabis be issued in the town of West Warwick?
Make a motion to approve that verbiage that Mark just said.
But you said we have to use that verbiage anyway, right?
That's there,
Yeah,
yes.
so-
Well, I make a
Everybody's
motion to
will be-
approve the
everybody's
verbiage we
in
have
the
to use.
Statewide will be the same.
everybody's using that.
Do we have to vote on that still then? I'll make a motion to approve the verbiage we have to
Second,
use.
make it official.
Okay.
Moving second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. So it'll be on the ballot.
All right, anything else? We can, make,
I think that's it on the agenda, what I saw.
That's it.
We do have new business for 3 is approval of charter questions of ballot wording for the November 8th statewide general election. You guys have already done that.
We've already done that.
Under new business
Yes.
01.
make a motion to Can I do it?
Yes.
Thank you, Dad. Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
You guys gotta isolate that.
Eyes have it.
Sarah, I will edit that